It's a perfect blue sky day, sunshine pouring over the whole green valley like butter on toast. At the front gate, a little kid is deep in thought, messing with random stuff or probably waiting for someone. The kid's eyes lit up with happiness as she spotted her parents on the carriage, finally reaching home. Her dad pulls the horse, thanking the little girl, Marianne, for the warm welcome. Meanwhile, her mother smiled and said that Marianne must have felt really lonely, waiting here all by herself. She mentions Rose, who gave her company. On the other hand, a mystery man with a little girl watches this whole reunion from a distance. I bet it's one of my creepy subscribers. Her parents hop down the carriage with a little surprise in hand. Peeking closer, her mother ends her curiosity by revealing that he is her little brother, Sheehan. Wait, they still sell ugly babies in supermarkets? Anyways, Marianne's face lights up like a Christmas tree, so she leans in to kiss Sheehan. Baby Sheehan stares at her, taken aback by this surprise. Years later, Marianne is tearing across the field as if her life depended on it, dropping a ridiculous victory pose. She yells that she won. Meanwhile, this loser Sheehan is gasping for air, like he just ran a solid marathon. She rolls her eyes and groans that Sheehan is slower than a slug, but Sheehan fires back that his big sis is simply faster than Stephen Hawking on big wheels. Marianne feels proud and declares that big sis has to be the best. Just then, the front gate rolls open. Marianne bolts out of sight, declaring that her father has arrived, so she dashes out of there to catch up with him. Sheehan mutters that this girl packs a chaotic force. Not gonna lie, she sounds like those kids that are always on a sugar rush after munching 1,000 gummy bears. After welcoming her dad, Marianne strikes her usual chaotic pose, which makes her father laugh. He teases that his daughter is still loaded with chaotic energy like a firecracker. Grinning with full teeth, Marianne says that everyone thinks she is the ball of energy. Then she calls herself the bright sun, just like her hair. Sheehan finally drags himself to welcome his father. He is still out of breath. Their father, for some reason, is happy to see his little mistake. He calls him dependable. To which Marianne agrees. Sheehan mutters that Big Sis is way more dependable. She puffs out, declaring that Big Sis is the best. Still, deep down, she knows Sheehan has got the whole dependable vibe. She has noticed the little one helping out mom, and the kid no longer wets the bed. Like that counts for sure. Sometimes though, she catches this kiddo in the backyard, doing loads of weird stuff. He yells stuff like wind blast and fireball and goes out of breath for no reason. Upon asking, Sheehan tries playing it cool and keeping up the pretending act, but she sees right through him. She cracks up, calling him a total goof. I mean, we all have tried to go Super Saiyan, nothing weird about that. Then, one night at dinner, Sheehan casually drops a question that flips the vibe. His father blurts out that monsters do exist, but little Sheehan must follow his mother's orders and not leave the property anyhow. He explains that monsters are life-threatening beasts that would attack people. Sheehan hits him with another question of whether fairies exist. His father spills that it's rare to see one, but traders procure them. However, he hasn't seen a spirit. Sheehan isn't done and has one question that probably keeps him up at night. He asks if magic exists like fire, light, earth, and wind popping out of thin air. His dad is taken aback and mentions that he hasn't heard a thing about magic. Although his father believes him to be fairly educated, he assures that no general public has even heard of something called magic. Most importantly, he questions Sheehan and how he knows about all of this. Sheehan changes the subject really quickly. Marianne quickly asks Sheehan if he is feeling alright. Sheehan brushes it off. Marianne notices that from then on, he never brings up magic again. 3 years later, Marianne, the full-blown ball of energy, practices swinging harsh blows with a wooden staff. With a hint of a smile, Sheehan watches her be her chaotic self as usual. She claims to be super tired. Dropping her playstick, she casually sits with Sheehan. He tends to ask her reason for training so damn hard. I would too if I had a total nerd as a brother. Marianne spills that she is the big sis after all. Holding a book, Sheehan complains of not getting this hard work. Looks like this twig is trying to bench press a book the size of his head. She states that she is training hard in case of any trouble. She believes that if bad guys or monsters show up, she will deal with them. Apparently, Marianne bets that she is good at that sort of stuff. Little Blondie has no idea how Marianne is keeping up with such harsh training. Not to mention, the girl wouldn't get bored of it either. She challenges Rose for a spar, but Blondie is totally tired from helping out her grandpa. Rose asks if her little brother is as brainy as ever. She has a hard time believing that those two are even related, considering they are two different ends of a pole. Sulking down in though, Marianne mumbles that Sheehan hasn't still brought it up again. Still, she is totally sure that Sheen is busting his butt in studies for it. All of a sudden, there's something glowing in the river. Rose and Marianne are totally stunned to have witnessed such a thing. The next day, Marianne takes out Sheen. However, Sheen keeps reminding their mother's wishes not to walk too far. She assures Sheen that there aren't any monsters out there. Not to mention, Marianne claims this site to be worth every penny. Suddenly, something starts glowing golden, blowing Sheen's mind to bits. Hundreds of light balls ooze out of the river water, floating in the sky. Sheen's jaw practically drops at this gorgeous sight. The lad is gasping for air, never thought of ever witnessing such beauty. Marianne explains the phenomenon always erupting right after sunset. Upon asking, Marianne reveals that no adults could spot this view. She mentions that their parents couldn't see a thing, but a couple of kids had seen it all. Moreover, Marianne spills that it's different for everyone, as it blinks for her. Thus, Marianne reminds Sheen that it's exactly like the magic he once mentioned. Sheen couldn't believe Marianne remembered it. She states that she had to remember it when it concerns her little brother, especially when it's something that depressed him long ago. Suddenly, Sheen is bawling his eyes out. She says that it's time to go home now. She asks if he feels better now, and Sheen happily gives a flat yes. The next day at breakfast, they totally gave off weird vibes to their parents and quickly headed out. Marianne notices Sheen being pretty much out of shape. She instructs the lanky idiot to exercise, so his stamina can level up. Turns out Sheen is eager to search where the ball of light even coming from. He bets that there might be something alive in the lake that's releasing the orbs. Dumbo doesn't get a thing. Meanwhile, Sheen instructs her to fill the buckets. He plans to fill one bucket with sand and rocks, and another with water plants. He thinks of pouring fish in the third. After that, they settle down to fish. Sheen cracks up. It's lovely to have her on board with this whole thing. Sheen thanks Marianne for having time. Marianne states that a big sis must get down to help. Plus, she's pretty excited to see magic too. She believes that it would be one hell of a thing. He swears to tell Marianne first if it actually exists. Suddenly, Marianne catches the Etten trout for their third bucket. Moving on, Rose catches Marianne and her shenanigans with her little bro Sheen. With a little introduction, Rose calls herself a solitary flower blossoming in this desolate town. Sheen is practically dumbfounded here, but Marianne spills that she's a regular commoner. Marianne quickly fills her in, and Rose is glad to know Sheen can spot orbs too. Rose reveals that she likes watching the orbs sometimes. Sheen excitedly asks if she knows what makes them. But Rose mentions only coming here to admire their beauty, nothing else. Their cute talks are pissing off Marianne somehow. The time of orbs arrives, but their experiment is a total failure. Rose bets that it could be impossible to collect stuff from the river. Clothes down, Sheen and Marianne dive in the river of lights. Just then, Sheen puts his palm on the orbs, feeling this warmth. Marianne checks it out too. Sheen tries looking underwater and thinks the orbs might be coming from some weird fish or something. Considering the orb spots keep changing, Sheen is pretty sure it's some kind of underwater creature and not a plant. Afterward, Sheen thanks her, but Marianne reminds her that her family doesn't have to be so formal. Sheen explains that he must not hold back what he wants to express. Rose pops in, claiming to have caught the rare female Etten trout that resides in deeper water. However, she spills the spawning season had to be the right time to catch these babies. Out of the blue, the orbs start flying out of it. That's when it hits him. Sheen figures that it's Etten trout's mating show. Rose explains courtship to the Dumbo. Marianne tells Sheen that it's like magic, which he talked about once. At the thought of Rose explaining courtship, Marianne believes that they're already family, so there's no need for that. Then she wonders if she could lay eggs. Sheen puts a stop to this blasphemy. Man's trying to solve a big problem, and she's here counting babies with her bro. Sheen reminds this bimbo that it's a no-no with a sibling. Marianne throws a bloody big tantrum over it, asking if he doesn't love her. But Sheen quickly responds that he totally does. Rose rolls her eyes. The next day, Marianne bursts in, saying their mom disapproves of their union too, due to the sibling crap. She declares that she wants to be with Sheen forever. Sheen adds that they don't need marriage for that. She points out that they will eventually marry off to others. He assures her of adopting an heir for their dad and staying with his big sis because she's super important to him. Pulling her in a hug, she breaks down crying. Suddenly, Sheen starts glowing, throwing her off. He guesses it's magical energy imprinted on him from Etten trout. He believes that his heartfelt confession for Big Sis set it off, Marianne runs out, blushing, while Sheehan realizes his big purpose in life after reincarnation is to make magic. As the clock hits midnight, Sheehan is officially 30 today, and he can't keep his feet on the ground. Apparently, dudes who hit the big 30 and haven't popped their cherries yet get a sweet bonus. That's the power to use magic. Finally, he yells, "Fireball," but nothing really happens. Then he digs out his secret notebook and starts mumbling some weird chants like he's about to summon a deity to report this error. Still, nothing. Sulking like a sad puppy, it hits him that this world is just normal. Suddenly, his heart feels like it's about to explode. He grabs his secret notebook, the one filled with weird chants and his lifelong dreams of turning into a wizard. But the pain, it won't stop. Sheehan doesn't wish to die. Nothing in his life kept him going except this one wild idea. Turns out, Sheehan is really banking on this whole, still writing solo at 30 to become a wizard, thing being legit. Though this surely sounds like a total nonsense. But hey, if he didn't give it a shot, he'd never find out. Young Sheehan's desperation has grown in the 3 years since then. With his dad dropping the truth bomb that magic isn't a real thing, it's been a total bummer. The lad just couldn't give up on his dreams. But the more he looks into this world, the more he is forced into believing that there's no magic. He remembers the time his dad totally shot down his magic theory like it's some dumb kid's fantasy. For a lord, the dude claims to have a pretty top-tier education to say stuff like that. Coming to the point, his dad asks how the heck Sheehan knows about monsters, fairies, or this magic thing. Dude's probably like, seriously, who's paying for his tuition to study that nonsense? At the age of 6 in his second life, he lost his will to live. However, the moment hit him recently when he contacted his big sis after a solid confession that made him glow like a supernova. Though he did give his fireball attack another go, nothing happened. He still better watch his next move because he still isn't sure if the magic is real or not. Although he has made a slight breakthrough. Suddenly, his big sis barges in and wreaks his chain of thoughts with her clumsy walk-in. He tells the lady to knock first. With an attitude, Marianne asks if he's got something shady going on in here. Thus, he claims that at a certain age, he might get that. Even when it's snack time, he asks her to come in and sit with him. There, Sheehan weirdly stares at Marianne and suddenly mutters the 3 magical words, "I love you." While she's a blushed tomato mess, Sheehan's hand starts sparkling. Just then, he realizes that professing his feelings releases magical energy. He wonders how that even works. Not to mention, he ponders hard that he has to do this trick every damn time to get a magical reaction. But that's not cool at all. Suddenly, Marianne explodes at this midget for playing her a fool. For a quick save, Sheehan rambles on about the courting vibe igniting the magical flames in him to appear. Not buying a single thing, she asks if that's why he went for a lie. But Sheehan, getting real close, confronts Marianne that it's the truth. That shuts her up. This blushed cherry lets this one slide, though he realizes that this magical glow comes out when he confesses his feelings. But he wonders if it only works this way. Sheehan understands that professing his emotions makes him aware of them better each time. He's like embracing his powerful emotions, manifesting hope, fun, excitement, and happiness. Sheehan thinks hard about them, trying to use them all at once. All of a sudden, he starts glowing like a full-blown chandelier. Marianne is totally stunned by this. Even though his body glowed, nothing else happened, but for now, Sheehan feels satisfied with it. He's determined to establish the magic's existence in this world. Similar to the electric eel's mojo, Sheehan teaches the electroreceptors, possessing an electric organ, to sense the electric field that produces electric shock. Same way, Sheehan bets that the humans of this world must withhold a special organ to produce magic. For the moment, he calls this phenomenon the magically charged state. With a sinister laugh, he can't believe that he's close to cracking magic and just used it. Though Marianne is getting the creeps from this guy, even then, she pats her stupid little brother for being so happy. A month has gone by since then, and Sheehan figures that manifesting a powerful emotional state, which is a tough nut to crack at first, but it's the only way to produce the magically charged state. Apparently, he deciphered that this state gives you a couple of tries until your tank runs empty, and he loses the energy to do it once more. Third, nearly expelling all the magical energy like a blast gets the range of total capability to a bit higher point. Fourth, Sheehan learns the glowing effect is only visible to those with magical potential, hence tested on his muggle parents. But Marianne's got the magic juice and feels the warmth of the glow. At the thought of fifth, Sheehan is basically freaking out, not having the means to make light balls. Then he fears not having enough magical juice for it. He compares himself to an MP raising capacity, but that doesn't change a thing, and surely feels like a dead end here. Not having the chance to give, he believes if Trout could do it, then he can too. And it hits him right then, gathering magical mana. Shein forces it to his arms, but that's a bit hard for the boy. Doing a collab of intense emotion with logical reasoning to focus on his hand, that whole thing is totally difficult for this midget. But he plays the Ona reverse card on the order. He focuses on gathering magical mana in his hand, which would generate his happy emotions. That totally worked. With his hand glowing, this dude punches the rock-hard wall and almost cracks his fingers. The test was a total failure because he made a flashlight with his hand. But that's somewhat a victory. Shein lets out a villainous laugh. He calls this whole thing the magical gathering, and the magic is called the gathered magic. Then on, he continues to practice. After we're at the training, Shein, packing the gloom, sides with two bimbos, Marianne and Rose. His father introduces Shein and Rose to sword training, calling the wooden sword somewhat of a killing tool. But Shein isn't up for the battle. His dad dictates that monsters are crawling outside, so they better get into gear. Shein's a bit of a dud, but Rose has the talent. Meanwhile, Marianne's battle of swords with his father is quite dramatic, but his dad wins. Though his dad bets that she would be one heck of a skilled swords fighter, and that cheers her up. Later, Shein, gathering the magic, hits a floppy result and wonders if this is the right way. However, with magically charged state leveling up, he spots the rate of increase has stalled for some reason. Shein plans to rethink his strategy, but his dad walks in to invite him to Istria, and he cheerfully hops on. Etten region, where they reside, Istria is the closest mid-sized town to their home. Upon arriving with family, his dad plans for a shopping spree and the next trip to the Smiths before heading home. Shein thought he would get a sneaky time to search for magical clues, but he lets this go for the time when he gets older. For now, he takes mental notes to prepare for this future heist. After shopping, the whole family meets up with Grast, the smith, to pick up their special order. Turns out their father, Gawain, has ordered a top-quality sword for his skilled daughter, Marianne. The weirdo Grast does a quick intro with the polite pair of kids and teases Gawain. Afterward, Grast hands Marianne her first sword, and she's super happy. On their way, Shein's casual talk with Marianne hits a pause when he spots an unusual fairy selling shop. Strangely, his father wouldn't disclose this information to him, but this got him really curious as things took a twisted turn. A villager is getting back to the village, seeing how the rain is pouring like mad. He wants to get back as soon as possible before it gets dark, but as he is walking down the road, he hears a running noise. He glances forward to see a guy running towards him. This pal drops to the floor right as he gets near the villager and can barely move. By the looks of it, the guy took a serious beating from something not human apparently. He can barely talk. In clear shock at the circumstances, the villager moves closer to the guy, asking him what is he running from and why is he in this bad of a shape. The guy barely gets 2 or 3 sentences out, saying that they have gotten into the village and everything is going to be destroyed if nothing is done immediately. The guy can barely make his sentences, but he gets the gist of it. He asks the guy who he meant by they. The poor man tells the villagers that they are goblins and they are destroying everything in their sight. The guy is shocked as he should be. Meanwhile, we cut to Shein and Marie in their room practicing magic. Marie is proving to be a helpful teacher for Shein so he can get on his feet in this new world. Shein has gotten better at the magic controlling by the looks of it, and he can hold the magic out for 10 whole seconds now, which is a record for him. Marie congratulates him and encourages him to keep working on it so he can get more accustomed to this controlling magic thing. Marie notices Shein is not as happy as she thought he would be considering he just broke a record time. Upon asking, Shein assures her that he is truly happy for sure, but he just wants to get stronger and stronger by every second. As he is telling her this, he goes out on a rant about how he wants to control all the magic of this world and even fight monsters and stuff. Marie tries bringing him back to reality, but Shein is in deep thought about the look his father gave to the people selling fairies to those guys some days ago. That really struck Shein, and the urge to get to know more about fairies and why people sell them has grown bigger after every minute of that instance. Shein thanks Marie once again, and as they are talking, they hear noise from downstairs. Going downstairs, they see Gawain and Mother talking to some fellows in a serious manner. This doesn't seem like normal talk to Shein, so he asks his father if something has gone wrong. His father lets him know that there has been a sighting of some goblins in the village, and they are going to resolve this matter as soon as possible. This stirs up Sheen's mind as he really wants to see if he can catch and study a goblin. The thing that stops him from sharing these thoughts is the way his father and others are talking about this matter. It doesn't seem like goblins are a normal tier creature in this world. Father has collected enough people and is ready to leave when Sheen stops him to ask if these goblins are intelligible creatures or not. His father doesn't think so. Sheen proposes that they should then hide in the upper room with the furniture blocking the door until Father comes back because a silly creature like a goblin would not be able to find them there. Father likes the idea and allows him to do what he thinks needs to be done. After Father leaves, Sheen takes all the family and hides in the upper room. A while has gone by, and there has not been a single sound from downstairs. We see a goblin coming to the Gawain residence at this very moment, and it starts scratching the door viciously. The noise from this alarms Sheen and others. After hearing a window break, Sheen knows that this creature has gotten into the house, and now they have to be quiet. The goblin goes upstairs and is looking for people around when Sheen and others try to be as quiet as possible. The goblin is right outside their room, but they are doing a great job for now being as invisible as they can. As the goblin goes past their room, everyone is relieved, but lightning strikes right at this moment, getting out screams from some of the individuals. Now the goblin knows where everyone is, and before they know it, he has broken into the room. Marie tries getting in front to fight the goblin with her sword, but it just slaps away the sword like a toy. I think you should just accept your fate, Marie, at this point. The goblin is about to strike Marie when her mother gets in front of Marie and takes the hit. She is bleeding like crazy, and Sheen knows if this keeps up, everyone is going to be killed. Sheen glances over Mother and Marie, and his head just starts making moves for him on its own. He charges at the goblins and clings to his arm like it would do something, but it does not. Sheen is holding the goblin's arm, and before, it was doing nothing. But Sheen thinks about the magic he has been practicing, and he starts focusing all the magic onto this arm of the goblin. Something starts happening. The arm from that point starts burning up like fire. He does it for a while before goblins slam away Sheen towards the wall. Sheen gets up and looks at the goblin shrieking in pain, hand holding his arm. What he finds weird is that he did not focus all of his magic onto the arm, and it did this much damage. The goblin is shrieking, lying on the floor holding his arm, and this feels like a perfect opportunity for Sheen to finish off this monster. He runs toward the goblin, and this time, he grabs his head from the top and starts focusing all the magic onto this head. The goblin struggles and tries to fight back, but Sheen is able to hold him down till the job is finished. After doing this for a minute or two, the goblin loses his will and is now dead. Sheen gets up, and we can see a clear cavity on the goblin's head where Sheen was holding from. Shocked as he should be on what just happened, Sheen is just staring at the dead goblin. He looks over to the family and other people to see if they are alright, but they look scared. Sheen seems to feel like he is the one scaring them because of what he just did, but Rose comes up to him and lets him know that he is the one who saved all of them, and they will live to see another day. Marie screams, seeing how her mother's bleeding is not stopping. Sheen is alarmed seeing the condition of her mother and is thinking of how he can save her in the shortest time he can. Thinking about his old world and the condition his mother is in, he knows the best he can do is to stitch up the wounds. He first gets the mother on a bed and then asks if anyone standing in the room knows anything about medicine, but no one does. He then asks if anyone is good at sewing, and one lady is. He asks her and others to get to work and get sewing instruments from the room and some alcohol to clean the wounds before stitching them up. After the lady, Lee, gets all the things ready, Sheen asks her to start the process, but she has no clue what he is talking about. Upon telling her that they need to stitch up the wounds, Lee is struck to the core just hearing about this. This tells Sheen that stitching up wounds is not a standard practice in this world, so he explains and begs the lady to do as he says to her mother so they can save her. She swallows her fears and agrees to the little lord. With cooperative efforts, they manage to stitch the wounds and save her mother in time. Father gets back in time as well now that they managed to kill the 2 goblins reported in the village. After the peace is restored in the village, Gawain asks Sheen and Marie to come to his room so he can ask them some things. He asks Sheen about how he killed that goblin and if there is something he needs to tell him. He does and reveals that he can control magic. This alarms Gawain at first, and rightfully, knowing how his being unique can cause a lot of ridicule and mayhem to befall the family. But after Sheen does not give up on the research of magic and asks him to allow him this one dream of his, Gawain allows him and tells him that he is proud to have a unique child like him. The story begins in the school where right now, some popular students are making their way through the hall and everyone is stuck seeing them walk. They are so popular that no one dares to approach them directly, and the ones they are seen talking with are considered very lucky. So they are the celebrities of the school despite being the students. Everyone thinks that these two are dating, but no one dares ask them because no one has the guts to. We get to know that the girl, Suzune, is the president of the student council, and Kazuki, the guy, is the vice president. They make their way through the corridor, and every class they pass by, students are forced to stop whatever they are doing and look at them. These two dating or not is the hot topic of the school because they are always seen together, and there is no day where they are seen separate. Wherever you see Kazuki, you see Suzune, and the other way around. Suzune is talking about what they are supposed to do as the members of the student council, and Kazuki assures her that whatever she wants is here in his possession. Nothing can stop them from presenting the true and factual points to back up their argument, and they are surely going to get what they want from the school. Our MC, Usato, is narrating all of this for us, and in his opinion, no one has been successful in eclipsing these two in fame. There have been a lot of people getting fame out of nowhere, but their popularity always dies down, and these two again make their mark to the top. He knows even if these two are dating, no one would mind because they do make a great couple, and no one will deny that ever. If I had this much effect on the school by just walking through the hall, I would be roaming around the school all day making people follow me around like sheep. But we have to face facts and admit that no one likes me. After getting to know about the fame of these two popular and somewhat brilliant students, we see the other side of the coin and we get an introduction to our MC. He is the student for whom you would not even use the word ordinary. If there was a word beyond ordinary, we can assign that to MC, and he is not so famous in the school. He is always forgotten, and no one even remembers sometimes that he is in the school. The normal run-of-the-mill student. We see Usato saying goodbye to some of his friends, and they leave. It is raining quite heavily, so Usato wants to head home before it charges up its second phase. He is about to go in when he sees some birds on the ground helpless. Being the kind guy he is, Usato helps the birds, and this is one of the things he stands out because of. He does things people just ignore and do not think about, like helping these helpless, lonely birds. Doing this, he goes inside to the locker room to get his umbrella, but to his surprise and disappointment, someone takes his umbrella. The rain is nowhere near stopping anytime soon, and it is already getting too late for him to be at school now. He takes a look and notices that there is an umbrella in the basket, but he does not know who it is. Trust your intrusive thoughts and take the damn umbrella, my guy. But again, being kind and always looking out for others, he does not take the umbrella. He feels like he cannot just throw his burden on someone else and go home like this. He decides to wait for a bit and wishes something happens and the rain stops. Usato has always dreamed of having an extraordinary and fantastical life, but that just is not going to happen for him. These are the exact times when Usato wishes that he had some superpowers and that he could use some magic to get himself out of these difficult situations. After waiting a while, the rain does not stop, and now the time comes when Usato must freak out observing the situation he finds himself in. He must go home now, but the rain is stronger than before, and he cannot go home without risking getting sick. He is looking at the sky hoping the rain will stop when Suzune comes up to him, asking if he has a good reason to be at the school at this hour. He explains his reasoning, but Suzune knows he has not gone home because he does not have an umbrella on him. Usato knows this as the popular girl in the school, and just talking to her is enough honor for him. She reminds him though that staying late is not endorsed, and he would have to leave soon as is written in the rules of the school. Usato does know the rules, but he also does not want to annoy Suzune, so he wants to get out of her hair as quickly as possible. He lets her know that he can go home like this, and he is about to leave when Kazuki comes up and stops him on his way. He knows Usato somehow, and he tells him that if he does not have an umbrella, he can borrow it for today and return it tomorrow. The thing that shocks Usato though is that this famous student knows his name and he is acting friendly with him. Seeing his confused face, Kazuki knows what Usato is trying to figure out, so he helps him. He tells Usato that he is from his class, and that is how he knows his name. Suddenly it hit Usato that yes, this guy sure was from his class, but still, his offering his umbrella to him is something he expected the very last thing from this guy. He accepts the umbrella and thanks him with a formal tone, but Kazuki wants him to be cool and easy as they are class fellows. Usato loves and is confused about the way he is getting talked to. Kazuki wonders what should he call Usato, from his first name or the last. Usato returns the favor, telling him that Usato is fine if he wants to call him that. Kazuki tells Usato that they should walk home together if only they are the ones left in the school. Suzune also gets into this friendly interaction and lets Usato know that they should walk home together, as it is almost fate that brings them together like this. She would also want to call him Usato if he does not mind. Well girl, take a look at his face and guess if he minds or not. It is like asking if you want the best ice cream or not. Yes, I do. Make it double if possible. They start their journey home together, and the first thing that Usato shares with them is that he finds it very surprising that Kazuki would be this friendly. Kazuki finds this interesting and asks why he thought that. Usato knows they are very popular and the way they are talked about in the school, anyone in their shoes would have had their egos shot to the roof. The thing that surprises him even more is the way Suzune interacts with him. He thought that she would be the hardest to approach, but she feels very chill and easygoing. Suzune hears this for the first time, but Kazuki agrees with Usato. He knows that Suzune is at the top of her class in literally everything. And the plus point is that she is beautiful inside and out. She sure finds this undermining in some way, but Kazuki tells her that she always gives herself less credit than she deserves. This thought of them being very unapproachable does make Kazuki and Suzune a little amazed, but they are not hearing these things the first time. Usato is just spewing out his thoughts and curiosity, and asks them if they are dating or not. This stops both of them on the spot, and with a huge confused tone, they ask him why he thinks that. Why are these popular and overpowered characters this dense? He notices that he just stepped on something very personal that he should not have and tells them that he heard it in the school because this is what everybody talks about. Kazuki and Suzune let him know that they are not dating. The reason they are always together is because they are the members of the student council, that is all. Well, this disappoints Usato, but he figured this would be the case. Suzune sure took his question as a compliment though, because this is a lot better than talking behind their backs and assuming things that are not close to being true. They continue their way back home, but this time, Suzune has something she wants to ask Usato. She wants to know if he has thought about what he is going to do after he gets out of school. Usato was a little surprised by this question, but he has not thought about it. Kazuki points out that she asked the same question to him as well a little while ago. Suzune shares that she is interested in getting to know other people's plans for life after school because she has no idea. Every goal she sets, she achieves it in no time, and this leaves her very confused about her life after graduation. This concerns Kazuki because he never thought that of all people, Suzune would be the one confused about this thing. Usato is forced to wonder if this is how competent people think about their lives. Suzune adds that she finds this life very boring and sometimes she feels like she does not belong here. Usato and Suzune are not alike, but for some reason, Usato understands what she meant by this. He knows that exact feeling she feels. They are walking when Kazuki stops and looks confused. Usato asks him if something is wrong, and he asks Usato if he also hears that. Usato does not hear anything, but Kazuki tells him that he is hearing some kind of bell ringing. Suzune also starts hearing it and points out that it is getting louder and louder by the second. Our MC is left alone once again. A huge portal suddenly opens up beneath them, and this makes Usato wonder if this is a portal to another dimension or something like that. Hearing this, Suzune asks him if there are monsters and magic in that other world or not. Usato finds it very unlike Suzune, who would be excited about that stuff. Her knowing this stuff only makes her image in Usato's mind a lot more beautiful. They feel a rush running through their body, and they vanish with the portal, leaving their umbrella behind. Kazuki wakes up Usato and he gets up, bewildered by what just happened to them. We see that our gang is at some kind of a castle, and right now, they are in the hall of the castle with the king and relevant people present as well. Usato wakes up wondering where they are, but Kazuki and Suzune have no clue either. The king sitting on his throne lets them know that he knows how they are feeling right now. He apologizes to them for making this happen, but he wants them to know that they did not have any other choice. Kazuki is mad and wants the king to explain everything right now. Seeing how he is talking to the king's vassal explodes, saying how dare he talk to his majesty like that, but the king calms him down. King introduces himself. He is the king of the Lynch Kingdom and his name is King Layod. Suzune cannot control her emotions, seeing that this is an actual king and not some fake actor pretending to be one. Her reaction surprises Usato a lot, but he focuses on the matter at hand for now. Lloyd continues and tells them that there is a demon lord, and he invaded their kingdom, once with his force, but the king emerged victorious after he fought back and sent away the demon lord and his entire force. The thing that concerns him is that the Demon Lord is much stronger than before now, and there is no saying what will happen if he decides to attack again. For this matter, the king needed some accomplished people such as them from other worlds so they could help them win this battle with the Demon Lord. Forget about the war and the battle. Suzune is melting over the fact that there is an actual Demon Lord in this world. Usato tries restraining her, saying that they are having a serious conversation right now, but this is out of her control now. Anyways, King lets them know that they were brought here through a ritual called the Hero Summoning, and he would love it if they helped him fight this Demon Lord. Kazuki does not need any of this and tells the king that they have families behind in their world and they cannot just leave them like this. Saying this, he orders the king that he has to send them back right now because they are not summoned here with their consent. King tells him that he cannot do that because the ritual works in one direction and he cannot use it to send them back. Kazuki is furious hearing this and tells the king that he has to do something. Agitated, Kazuki takes a step forward toward the king and all of the soldiers get ready to take him out. Usato gets up and appreciates his anger for them, but he wants Kazuki to know that starting a fight here is not a solution. Kazuki is very angry, but he needs to calm down. He relaxes and the king comes forward, kneeling in front of them. He begs for their help and he promises that he will find a way to send them back in the near future. The heroes accept, but Suzune has a question for the king. She knows that they are here to help him in some way, but why is he calling them the heroes? He does not know anything about them for now. Welsie, the girl who performed the ritual, comes forward and tells her that the summoning brings the people who are accomplished and are capable of things that no one is. She lets them know that before coming here, they heard some bells ringing, and that was the indication that they were the heroes. They understand, but it also reveals one thing, that Usato was not supposed to be here. He got dragged into this just because he was with them. He did not hear any bells ringing. This is a point to be concerned about, but Usato knows that he cannot undo what happened now. They are in a room where Welsie is about to measure their magical abilities using this crystal ball. Wasn't the crystal ball used for future telling and all that? These Anines have really changed this concept for good. Suzune cannot help but feel very excited about her magical ability being measured. Kazuki, on the other hand, asks Usato if he is comfortable being here. Him being dragged into this must be making him very angry, but Usato is not. He knows getting angry for this is no use and he must be positive like Suzune. He knows that he will find something to do here now that he is stuck here. Kazuki agrees with him, but they are looking forward to their abilities being measured. They really hope they are of some use, especially Usato. Welsie wants Suzune to come forth first and put her hand on the crystal ball. She does and the ball starts shining bright yellow. Welsie explains that this yellow light indicates thunder magic and this cannot be perfect for Suzune. Kazuki is up next and he comes, putting his hand on the crystal. The ball lights white for him and upon asking, Welsie tells him that this is the light magic. Suzune knows about this and tells him that he can use it to shoot lasers and make light swords out of it. Usato knows that Kazuki does not understand anything she just said, but oh well. Well, was it worth getting roasted by a girl for no reason? Up next is Usato and he is interested in knowing what kind of magical power he has, even if he has some. He puts his hand on the crystal and it lights green for him. He and the gang are excited to see a new color and they turn to ask Welsie about it. But they look and see that Welsie is scared out of her mind, shaking like crazy. She has to tell the king about it, and saying this, she grabs Usato and runs to the main hall toward the king. Going there, seeing Welsie painting makes the king curious, and she tells him that the power Usato showed is what he has to know. He sarcastically asks her if he got some dark magic or stuff like that, but his laughing face turns to a sweating, shocked face right when she tells him that the crystal turned green. He cannot believe that he has that power, but Usato has no idea what they are so afraid of. He figures that his power is dangerous or something, but no one is telling him. King asks if there is any safe place for him or not. He wants Usato out of the castle right away, but we see some girl walking through the corridor of the castle, making her way to the main hall right now. Welsie asks the king if there is someone else with the same kind of magic as Usato, and there is. The girl comes in, opening the door very dramatically. This is the girl with the same power as our Usato here, and this could not be worse timing in King's opinion. She comes in and then King looks really terrified of her being here. King thought her day was off today, but she is still here. Her name is Rose, and she is the captain of the kingdom's rescue team. She looks at Usato and asks the king about him. He avoids any difficulty, saying that he is not one of the heroes but just an ordinary human being. Wellesley tells Rose that heroes are in the other room and she would love to take her to them. She is leaving with Wellesley when Usato asks the king about his magic, as they have not told him still. Asking this, he says that he knows the crystal turned green, and Rose hears this, stopping on her way out. Everyone knows that they are screwed, and King tells Wellesley to get Usato away from her. She uses her magic and takes Usato out of the castle in a bubble-type thing. She takes him up in the sky, but Rose manages to get to him in time. She punches him to the ground and takes him away from the castle. In the crystal room, Suzune and Kazuki get to know that Usato was just taken away by Rose, but they do not seem to find an issue with that, knowing that Rose is the healing magic user. Wellesley explains that healing magic users are very rare and Rose is one of them. She has been looking for another one, and now she has one. She is going to train him now to become her subordinate. She takes Usato home and introduces him to her subordinates. They greet him very terrifyingly, but Rose kicks one away, saying that they are going to scare the newbie. They tell her that this is the way they greet someone, and they are being very nice. I don't think they know what nice means. Usato is going to be trained by Rose herself, and the subordinates tell Usato that her training is nothing less than hell itself. He goes to the room to sleep, as this is his home. Rose, on the other hand, wonders how this kid is going to respond, as he is a healing magic user from another world. In a world of wonders, we see an elite city that is protected by the walls from Titan or I don't know. And like every other elite city, there is this small hut that is mostly located at the border. Thus, our hero who lives in the forest seems traumatized, since he was hoping it was all a dream, but it looks like he is really in another world. Meanwhile, another guy is sleeping in his room while snoring. His snores are composing a symphony of questionable talent. On the other hand, some other fellows are coming to meet the guy. Therefore, a man who was cooking calls the guy and informs him that some fellows have come to meet him. The guy then comes outside to meet them. It appears a guy with red hair and a girl with black hair comes to meet him. They are also wearing the uniform of an academy. Seemingly they are worried for Usato, since they heard that the guy was abducted. Usato apologizes to them for making them worry. He even jokes about it, that he is alive, but suddenly he remembers the incident with the green-haired girl. Funnily, he doesn't have a good impression of her, since the girl kicked the hell out of him. So now Usato is sad that he is supposed to start the training from hell today, so he can't say how tomorrow will go for him. Seeing his reaction, his friend asks him if it's really that bad. Whereas, the girl notices that the guy intends to go through with his training. Hence, Usato informs them that he wants to do it since he has nothing better to do. And also, he would like to be of some use. The girl then motivates the guy, saying they know he can do this. Afterwards, she determinedly tells him about their training, which will begin today as well. Then, she encourages him to do his best. Meanwhile, Iruku is watching them from afar, when suddenly a group of other guys come to him and happily offer him a tomato. Whereas, Usato is wondering what kind of cool training their heroes get to do. The guy even compliments the girl on her uniform, saying that it's looking pretty awesome. The girl seems happy with his compliment. Suddenly, the red-haired guy becomes serious and holds Usato's shoulder. He then thanks him and seriously informs that he has finally made up his mind. Although Usato seems confused, the guy then tilts his head towards the girl and calls her senpai. Hence, he tells her that he is going to do his best in this world. The girl also seems determined to do the same. After that, the guy and the girl go away from there with Iruku. Apparently, Iruku is carrying a fruit basket. Thus, he happily informs them that he has received some gifts. Meanwhile, Usato is watching them from afar. It seems he knows that Kazuki is going through a lot, since he was suddenly brought to another world and told that he was a hero. And the same happened with the Inokami senpai too. Therefore, he thinks that she must be going through the same. However, at that moment, the girl waves at him happily. Seeing her happy, he realizes that she is probably fine. Although the guy is determined to become strong enough to support them someday. Out of nowhere, a green-haired girl makes her entry, and judging by Usato's expression, it doesn't look like they had a great past. Because boy, he was so not ready to see her. Seemingly, the girl asks him if the heroes already left, and did he enjoy his chat with them. Usato seems afraid of her, as he replies that he did enjoy his time. The guy is looking like he will shit in his pants. After that, he bows in front of her to show her respect. Hence, Rose tells him that it's not a prison, so he is free to see whomever he wishes. However, there is a twist in it that he can only do this whenever he is not training, Seems like the guy is really afraid of her, as he agreed with her without missing a beat. Surprisingly, Rose throws a book at him, which the boy catches on time. She then tells him that it's a journal, where he should record his daily training regimen and how he feels about it, because it will be beneficial for him. After that, she tells him that they will start their training after breakfast. The girl then leaves from there. Meanwhile, the guy realizes that his training from hell has finally started. After some time, Usato is outside training with Rose. Right now, he is doing meditation, and apparently, he is thinking about his friend's warning that this training would be hell, but the guy feels that it is easier than he had expected. Dude, people who celebrate early are more likely to face disaster. Anyways, the girl asks if he is feeling anything. The thing is, the guy is holding both of his hands on his chest, and he is feeling some kind of warmth right there. Thus, Rose informs him that it's mana, and the next thing he needs to work on is drawing that out of his body. Usato doesn't understand how he will draw it out of his body. However, the girl reassures him that he will understand soon enough. So right now, he just needs to focus on sensing the energy. The guy then resumes his practice. After a while, Rose tells him to read a book. Nonetheless, the guy starts panicking because he can't read the language of this world. Thus, Rose ignores his complaints and tells him to just open the book. Usato seems doubtful, but because of the girl's command, he opens the book anyway. Surprisingly, Usato finds that he can read the book. Therefore, the girl reveals she heard that summoned heroes automatically have translation magic cast on them. Funnily, the guy thinks that the girl could have told him this sooner. Afterwards, Rose points at the map and shows him the Linger Kingdom along with Demon Territory. There, Usato notices they are both right next to each other's territory. Hence, the girl agrees with him and tells him that this is the reason why their kingdom has always become the demon's first target. Therefore, the girl advises him to read that book because it has basic information about the nations, different races, and demons of this world. The guy then starts reading the book. Meanwhile, Rose goes from there to give him privacy. After that, the boy feels that if this is what the training is, then he should be able to handle it. Day 2 of training comes and it appears he has to run a lot today. Funnily, the guy is questioning his life decisions while running, since he didn't expect this from his magic training. Day 3 comes and even today he has running training. Apparently, he was forced to run until his muscles were so sore that he couldn't move. Afterwards, he becomes tired from running, so he stops for a moment. But funnily, Rose appears next to the guy and scolds him about why he has stopped. Hence, Usato scaredly tells her that he can't go on because his legs are done for. Surprisingly, Rose slaps hard Usato's legs and the green light comes out of her hand. The guy starts crying like a baby and he feels that the pain is multiplied cause he is already hurt. However, suddenly he realizes something and stops his tantrums. After that, he touches his legs and feels that the pain is gone. Rose then informs him that she has healed his sore muscles. I also want her this magic for my sore body. Funnily, Usato gets surprised about the fact that she can do this magic. Meanwhile, Rose scolds him to get back to running and even calls him a piece of trash. He's getting scolded worse than a child. The boy looks horrified that she calls him trash, yet he still stands up to run. It seems like she is going to kill him today. Funnily, Rose tells him to run like he is going to die, since she will revive him if he does die. Hearing this, the guy feels that doesn't even make sense. However, Usato knows he can't say that out loud, so he decides to write this in his journal. Surprisingly, Usato has run for so long that even his shoes get torn. The 4th day comes and the guy has started training with other members. Therefore, the guy is running with them, but sadly everyone passes by him and leaves him behind. The other guys even mock him for his slow pace. Meanwhile, Rose scolds him for being a lap behind and even calls him a little bug. Usato is getting frustrated about this whole situation. He also wants to talk back, but funnily he again decides to write this in his journal. Day 5 comes and Usato again runs all day. Even in the rain, the guy is doing his training. Rose notices that the guy is slowing down, so she tells him to speed up. After a moment, Usato's foot suddenly slips and he falls in the mud. Funnily, he looks very pissed at the girl that he even calls her cold-hearted. Therefore, Usato decides to write about her in his journal. Apparently, he is breathing heavily from the exhaustion. Surprisingly, the guy notices that the green light is coming out of his hand. He thinks that maybe it's the light of healing magic. However, he questions whether he really needs it. All this time, Rose has been watching him from afar. The 7th day comes and funnily, Rose is kicking the guy's ass like a football. Even the boy realizes that he had never gotten his ass kicked like this before. Apparently, the 7th day Usato ran again until he thought he would die. After that, the girl kicked his ass, while the guy is still in the fright of the kick. The girl comes to him and tells him that since he has pissed her off, she is raising the level of difficulty. The guy gets scared and thinks maybe she found out that he was dissing her in his journal. However, he remembers that she can't read Japanese. Surprisingly, Rose picks up the guy and throws him again like a ball. Thus, she tells him to start running. Funnily, Usato has promised to call her a vicious muscle-bound gorilla in his journal. The 8th day comes and the boy doesn't learn, since he again gets kicked by the girl. After that, the 9th day comes. It seems that Usato still doesn't learn, since is getting kicked hard by the girl. Apparently, on the 9th day, the boy thinks that a few days ago, he questioned the need for healing light, but now he feels that he is gonna die and his ass is also gonna die. Surprisingly, Usato notices that his whole body's pain has gone and green healing magic light is coming out of his hands. The guy then realizes that he was wrong about healing magic, because he really needs it. Day 10 comes, and now that Usato can manifest healing magic on demand, he doesn't get tired no matter how much he runs. But the guy feels like he is getting uneasy, because all he is doing is running around every day. That's why he is worried about whether he will really be able to help Kazuki and Inukami. Furthermore, the guy is sure that M's Rose would deck him if he voiced his concerns. To his bad luck, Rose yells at him to do 30 more laps. Funnily, Usato decides to not call her M's Rose anymore, because he feels like she doesn't deserve any more than just Rose. After that, Usato angrily looks at the girl and thinks that he just has to finish his training for now, because after that, he will rip Rose a new one. Yude is all bark and no bite. After that, he continues his running. Fast forward to day 11. Apparently, there is a new addition to the training regimen today. Usato is doing push-ups, and surprisingly, he has done 815 push-ups. Yet he is still doing more, and it appears the healing magic is coming out of his whole body. Suddenly, Rose asks the guy if he knows why he is training his body like this. Hence, she reveals to him that it's because he can run from the enemy as quickly as possible in battle. And it's also so he can save his injured allies, since the faster the guy runs, the faster he can save them. The guy finally understands the meaning behind his training. Therefore, he finished training without getting scolded too much today. Apparently, Usato is feeling that he should be thrilled about it, but it seems pretty scary for him. Day 12 came and the guy ran until the afternoon, and then he did push-ups into the night. It appears Usato is feeling his body getting lighter. On the 13th day, Rose has apparently caught on to that fact. Therefore, she gives him a jacket with weights on it and tells him to run while wearing those. Fast forward to the 14th day. The guy comes to get his lunch, but sadly his lunch was missing. Thus, he asks the other guys if they have seen his lunchbox. Surprisingly, a bald guy tells him that he has eaten his lunch, because he thought somebody left it. Afterwards, he apologizes to him for that, but Usato is looking very pissed at him. The guy finally bursts as he throws his water glass at the bald guy. Meanwhile, the bald guy tries to make him calm down and says to him that fighting is banned in the rescue team. However, Usato ignores his warning and launches at him to punch him. After that, they fight with each other. Funnily, the bald guy runs outside to get away from Usato. But the guy is looking too angry right now. He even follows the bald guy to punch him more. When Usato was running after the guy to kick him, he realizes that he gets used to weights right away and he feels like he is actually getting the hang of the things. On the other hand, Rose is watching him from afar and it seems like the guy has been tricked. Funnily, Usato also realizes that maybe he has been brainwashed. A week later, Kazuki, Inukami, and a yellow-haired girl come to visit Usato. Therefore, another guy takes them to Usato. After reaching the forest, the guy signals at Usato's direction and tells them that he is over there. Kazuki and Inukami become shocked seeing Usato. Apparently, the guy is doing push-ups by carrying a heavy rock on his back, and even the girl is sitting on top of the rock. However, Rose is taunting him that he is slowing down again like a caterpillar. Thus, she scolds him to not whine about something this easy. Afterwards, Usato arrogantly replies to her, "Who the hell is whining here?" The guy even mocks her by clicking his tongue at her. Seeing that, she asks him if he has just clicked his tongue at her. The boy teases her that she is so light that he can't help himself. After that, Rose jumps down from the rock and stands in front of the guy. Surprisingly, this crazy girl adds another heavy rock on the poor guy's back. However, he holds them bravely and even his healing power starts coming out of his whole body. The girl finally looks happy with Usato. Meanwhile, his friends can't believe that he is really his friend. Funnily, Inukami notices the guy's biceps and she starts drooling for his muscles, whereas Kazuki feels that this training is brutal. Suddenly, a man with yellow hair goes angrily to the girl and holds her by her collar. He then asks her what in the world she is doing. Hence, he lectures her that she is destroying a young man with a bright future. The girl tells him to let her go, and she even calls him an old man Siglis. After that, she tells him his mighty ideas are impressive, but she has her own way of doing things. Surprisingly, she informs him that Usato is going to become her right-hand man, and it will be a real problem if he can't even handle this much. This man looks pissed at her. Meanwhile, Usato becomes stunned knowing that she wants him to be her right-hand man. Rose praises Usato that he is a real find, and she loves how he can't stand to lose. The way he never gives up is even better. And top of all this, she is impressed that he is able to survive her training. Funnily, Usato can't believe that in the end, he's the one getting screwed, even though he just wanted to flex a thing or two. But now it's backfired on him. Rose then orders the guy to take a break and get some lunch. Also, she tells him to go catch up with his friend. After that, the man requests Kazuki and Inukami to take care of Princess Cilia, because he can't come with them, since he has to speak with Rose. Hence, Kazuki assures him that he understood. Afterwards, Kazuki tells Usato to come with them. Hence, they all go from there. Meanwhile, the man tells Rose that he knew she was a deviant, since he was ordered to re-enlist her, but he didn't accept her transfer. The girl informs him that it's not happening either way, because her right eye is totally useless. The man gets angry and shouts at her to stop talking nonsense. On the other hand, Usato is with his friends, and apparently they tell him that the man with yellow hair commands the Linger Kingdom's army, and he is the Commander Siglis, the strongest knight in the kingdom. It appears he is teaching Inukami and Kazuki sword fighting. Usato seems impressed by the man. However, he then notices the yellow-haired girl, thus he asks them who she is. The girl then gracefully introduces herself that she is Cilia Volgast Olinger. Hearing her last time, Usato realizes that the girl is the king's daughter, so he becomes aware of the fact that she is a princess. The guy funnily jumps from there and bows down in front of her. He then apologizes to her for his uncouth conduct. Dude is a bigger drama queen than any girl, hence the girl assures him that it's fine and there is no need to be formal with her. Usato seems confused by her reply, therefore he asks him if it's really fine with her. Cilia replies that she would like this much more. Afterwards, Inukami tells the guy that he is acting just like Kazuki did in the beginning. Funnily, Kazuki becomes embarrassed and he tells the girl to stop it. Surprisingly, Cilia has bought a snack for everyone, so she tells them to enjoy it. They all become happy seeing the food. After that, they start eating it. Usato seems to like the food, as he even compliments the girl. Kazuki then looks at Usato and asks him if he's training like that every day. Funnily, the guy gives them a shock by revealing that today's training was pretty light. However, he asks them about how things are going on their end. Therefore, Kazuki answers him that their training itself is pretty difficult, but Commander Siglis and Ms. Welsi always considers their health and well-being, while teaching them how to use their swords and magic. Seemingly, Usato tells him that's how it should be. He then starts to complain about his sensei, and tells him that Ms. Rose is really brutal. Surprisingly, Kazuki apologizes to him. Therefore, the guy asks him why he is apologizing. However, the boy goes to take food first, and as he moves, his biceps flex. Seeing the boy's muscles as he is taking food, the girl can't control herself for a peek of what's inside that shirt. Thus, the hentai girl lifts his shirt up and sees then 6 packs. No shit, she starts drooling with the intention to feel them. The rest becomes history judging by the blonde girl's reaction. The guy then tries to distract her by asking Kazuki what he wanted to say earlier. Hence, Kazuki asks him if it isn't tough for him. Usato looks at his friend sweetly and confesses that it's crazy tough, since in the beginning he kept wanting to run away. Thus, Kazuki gets curious and asks him if he feels any different now. Surprisingly, Usato tells him that Ms. Rose is scary, but he doesn't want to run away anymore, because now he is having fun training with his fellows and Ms. Rose, so he feels life isn't that bad. Hearing this, Inukami tells him that he is amazing, because he has already found his place. However, the guy doesn't feel comfortable taking the compliment. Hence, he tells her that he is not amazing, he is just stubborn. At that moment, Usato shows them their healing magic and tells them that the two of them are going to fight as heroes someday. so he also wants to be able to do something. After a moment, Inukemi excitedly tells him that now she can count on him to come and save her if she ever gets in trouble. Funnily, Usato teases her that he will do it when she talks like a normal girl. Inukemi doesn't look happy with the comment. After that, they enjoyed their time with each other. Suddenly, the bald guy interrupts them and calls Usato. He then happily tells Usato that he was kind enough to bring in some lunch. Hence, Usato gets angry at the guy for talking to him like he is doing a favor for him. Funnily, it seems like Usato still hasn't forgiven him for stealing his food. That's why he is looking pissed at him. Meanwhile, the bald guy is looking scared of Usato, as he says to him if he is a kid who is still holding the grudge of the past. Thus, Usato angrily taunts him that he doesn't want to hear this from the guy who stole that kid's lunch. At that moment, Usato goes forward to attack him. Meanwhile, the bald guy also tells that he will also beat the crap out of him today, since the boss isn't around here. After that, they both start fighting with each other like crazy. On the other hand, the guy's friends are looking at them from afar. Cilia gets worried about them. However, Kazuki tells her that it's fine, because he thinks that this is just part of Usato's daily life. Inukemi also thinks the same and feels like the guy is living here each day as freely as himself. Suddenly, Kazuki announces that he is feeling a bit restless, so he is going back to the castle to train. Thus, the girls stop him and tell him that they also go with him. Inukemi then looks at Usato, and it appears she believes there is a reason the three of them were summoned in this world together. After that, they go from there. Fast forward to the nighttime. Usato is relaxing in a hot water tub and thinking that it was great to see his friends. Funnily, the guy kind of freaks out about Inukemi's behavior regarding his body. However, he feels that what she has said was true. His body really has changed and he has gotten a lot faster too. The guy feels that he has been healing his muscles over and over again after they are damaged by brutal training, and that is the result. His body has changed. Except he has to run to save the injured on the battlefield. Apparently, the guy is doubting his ability to do that, because he feels that maybe he doesn't have the mental fortitude to match the body he has built. The next day comes and the guy is eating his food, when suddenly, Rose comes there and throws the bag at the guy's face. She then orders him that they are going out today. The other guys around him seem worried about the guy, as they think that the time has finally come. After a while, Rose is standing in front of a guard. Funnily, the guard is looking scared of the girl, as he scaredly asks her what she's doing there. Thus, the girl informs him that she wants to show her subordinate the outside world. The guy then scaredly goes away to open the gate. Seeing her powerful aura on people, Usato realizes that the girl just has to stand there to scare someone. Afterwards, they go outside of the city. While they are walking, Usato asks the girl where are they going. Funnily, the girl tells him to shut up and follow her. After some time, they finally reach the cliff. The girl informs him the forest down there is also known as the Darkness of Linger, and it's infamously teeming with monsters. Surprisingly, Rose orders the guy to go down there and tells him to not come back until he hunts down a Grand Grizzly. Usato starts panicking because blue grizzlies only turn into grand grizzlies after living 100 years, and it appears they are really dangerous. However, the girl didn't get fazed by his panicking, as she tells him that he should be able to take one down easily. Funnily, the guy reminds her that all he has done is to run, so he doesn't know how to fight. Surprisingly, Rose lifts the guy easily with his backpack. Meanwhile, Usato is trying to free himself. However, Rose suddenly throws the guy like a football into the forest. The following day, the sun is shining brightly in the sky, with smudges of clouds on the side. Two travelers are standing on the edge of a valley that is wrapped in greenery altogether, with a river running along. While looking over the vicinity of this place, one of them declares it to be the forest, known as the Darkness of Linger. The valley stretched vastly before them, lush and inviting, sending off a strange attraction to them. Furthermore, she sheds light on the fact that this place is infamously crowded with monsters. Rose, the greenhead hottie, commands Usato not to step his foot back until he guts down a grand grizzly. Usato gets a shiver down his spine after realizing what Rose just spit out of her mouth. This guy, Usato, sure looks like one hell of a ragged doll with a flimsy haircut of his. Probably, the guy's just started regretting signing up for this wild adventure brought to him by Rose. He requests her to calm down and let him catch a breath. All of a sudden, Rose grabs his crappy bag and lifts him in the air so easily, like he is some clothes over the hanger. Desperately, he tries to break off from her, asking her to put him down. Suddenly, Rose swirls him in and winds him up to the infamous forest while ignoring his nagging about what an old hag she is. A star glimmers in the sky as soon as Usadao reaches the sky height. As he inches towards the ground, his face is already stretched to a hideous, top-tier comical distortion. Panicking to the greatest degree as he gets closer to the ground, he thinks he is going to fall into his grave at this rate. Getting closer to the ground, he imagines how his death will reach everyone. A pitiful subordinate, Usadao Ken, gets thrown by the rescue team captain, Rose, and ends up dead in the darkness of Linger. Then he says that his life is not a joke, but a sudden green light envelopes his body and glows through his skin. Looks like this guy thinks the Wakanda Forever pose is gonna give his ass enough strength to bear this fall. Oh wait, it did. Usadao Ken finally finds the courage to use his magic under his control. With green light glowing through him, he suddenly flips himself in the air and lands with his hands touching the ground first. He takes a long sigh of relief while sitting on top of his grassy graffiti. Then he thanks God for his safe landing. Anyone would speed dial the god for a quick check-in if a green hottie tosses you like a seed in a watermelon. Afterward, he heals his hands himself while looking over to see where he is. Now that he is here in the forest, he thinks that it would be risky to go back. He then admits that it is better to stay here and do as Rose ordered him. A sudden vision of a grizzly bear sends chills down his spine, but he shakes it off. Moreover, he is excited to hunt a grizzly bear in this forest. Furthermore, he tries his best to make himself feel as if this job is for the rookies who don't come close to his feet. Plus, for him, it is just a 2-meter-tall grizzly bear, which he thinks will be a cupcake ride to Disneyland. Upon ending his words, he hears a growl behind him in the bushes. A few seconds later, he screams at a growling white bear, and then both of them scream together at each other. So this is happening in the land of the darkness of Linger, where monsters are crowding so high. Running like Usain Bolt, he screams over his lungs while trying to get away from the white grizzly bear. Horror grows thicker on his face as he sees the bear chasing him for his flesh and bones. Not only that, he finds the bear way bigger than he pictured. Also, his claws and fangs are way more huge than he imagined. Although he thinks he has confidence in his speed, he will sweep away from the bear's gaze. However, he asks himself if the grizzly bear is capable of matching his running speed. But suddenly, the bear does a peekaboo from the sidelines, scaring the hell out of Usadao. So he gets the idea that the bear is right on his steps, almost reaching enough to grab his collar and rip him in shreds. In this heated moment, he recalls the time when Rose was tossing him around like he was some kind of ball. He remembers Rose training him for this very moment before him, so he pushes himself to think and figure out a way to live through it. This is why he survived all the hellish training she put him through all this time. From running to lifting heavy-weighted blocks, he believes this ugly thing is nothing compared to Rose. All of a sudden, he shifts his body gear from running to turning around and facing that ugly grizzly. Further, he calls upon that big teddy bear to come and face him one-on-one. As words reach his mouth, he notices 2 more monsters running behind the big grizzly. Usadao Ken is shocked enough that he becomes a statue, ready to be tossed around again when the bears decide to gang up on him. With that, he declares that ganging up on someone alone is cowardice. Then he notices 2 blue grizzlies are joining this flesh-eating party. Sweat washes down his body as he continues to struggle and run in a deep forest alone. While running, his ear hears a waterfall nearby, and he spots the light directing him outside. Rushing towards the light, he jumps in the air while accepting his fate. He chooses to die in the water rather than ripping himself in shreds by some bears. With gritted teeth, grizzly bears watch him jump down the waterfall and get away from them. Furthermore, he is rolling like a ball in the river and soon finds enough pressure to swim back to the surface. Later, as the sun is setting, he hangs his wet clothes over a tree branch and curses his luck of the day. Putting his knife inside a knife case, he believes he has only emergency rations, a canteen, and a knife. After noticing that this is all he has in the bag packed by Rose, he wishes that she could have added something to start a fire with. Moreover, trying to take a bite out of bread, he asks himself if that woman could be a demon in disguise or an ogre. While eating bread and drinking water during the sunset, it has been a rough day for Usadao Ken. Thinking about why he has come this far, he remembers his orders from Rose to hunt down a grizzly bear, which he believes is an impossible task. Hearing a growl from deep down in the forest, he gulps water in and decides to take care of this tomorrow. Then he marks his achievement of the day on the tree beside him, showing that he has survived his first day. Then the sky glows green where he was sitting. The next day in the morning, the birds are chirping in the Valley of Darkness. Usadao on some tree is putting an initial T over their surface with his knife. He jumps from the tree then, landing on the ground with a determined mindset to hunt the grizzly today, once and for all. Putting his knife back in his case, set on his waist, he proceeds to walk down the path of the forest, marking his initials as he goes by. Moreover, he states that he has got to learn more about his enemies in order to pre-plan their funerals. At first, he believes he needs to figure out where their hideout is. After marking every tree, he is cutting some leafy strips over the surface as if cooking up some trap. While this is going on, he breaks out in a sweat, drinks some water, and notices what he thinks are bare scratches on a tree. He asks himself if the grizzlies could be somewhere near him. All of a sudden, he hears someone in the bush rustling the leaves. It spooks the heck out of Usato, and he clenches his knife, prepared to chop whatever it is there. Ready in the battle position with a fixed gaze, he finds himself embarrassed when a cute bunny comes out of the bushes. The knuckle-headed loser thinks that the bunny could be a monster. A few moments later, the bunny crawls to Usato as if he is having a hard time to even beg, and Usato asks him if he is hurt. The bunny responds with a nod that he is hurt. So Usato is bewildered to know that a tiny bunny can understand him. Therefore, he heals the bunny's limb with his healing magic. With a green glow over the bunny's limb, he has received the best treatment from the healing magic user, Usato Ken. After he is done healing, he rubs the bunny's cheeks and asks him to be careful again and try not to get hurt again. All of a sudden, he stands up and walks to hide behind a tree as if he is sensing something. Noticing that the bunny is following him around, he commands the bunny not to follow him. Furthermore, he mentions to him that he is searching for some spooky monsters right now, so he has to go hide somewhere. Moreover, he tries to convey that it will be dangerous for a little bunny to be caught in the midst of a grizzly bear fight. Nothing can make this tiny thing understand anything other than this knuckle-headed loser is his savior mommy. The bunny is still following him despite the fact that he asks him not to. After playing the follow me around game, he then realizes that maybe this bunny is telling him that he knows where the grizzly is. So he asks him if he knows the whereabouts of the grand grizzly. Soon, the bunny's long antenna ears jerked and he runs in a different direction as if to look for something. Going a bit further, he looks at Usato as if hinting him to follow him behind. He then follows him around the forest as he hops in hopes trying to take him to the grand grizzly. Bingo, realizing how helping a tiny bunny pays him a lot, he finds himself beside the nest of a grizzly bear. All of the grizzlies are sleeping like growling babies beside their tunnel. He then spots the cave as their hidden den. Further, he believes that he needs to monitor this situation without being found. Hiding far away in the bushes, he notices that they are sleeping like a family. Recalling back, he remembers that the grand grizzlies live in groups and he has seen them like this for the very first time. All of a sudden, the bunny hugs Usato's face and he pats him. As time goes by, he sits beside the river and fills up his water bottle. While filling up, he is worried about how long he is going to drink water that has not been boiled at all. Drinking water from his hand, he then realizes that he has no choice when he is stuck here. Then the bunny comes closer to his thigh and Usato spots him in shock that he has not left still. The bunny then hops on his shoulder and the guy calls him a weird little bunny. Moreover, he mentions that he is still monitoring them. Far away, the grizzly is blowing his nose bubbles while being in the deepest sleep. After noticing them for so long, he finds nothing out of the ordinary. But unfortunately, he finds himself feeling soft toward the blue grizzlies who are kind of cute. And then he looks over at the bunny and tells himself that this bunny is sort of cute as well. Moreover, he believes that he is living a pretty good life here. Still, after marking the initials over the tree, he is holding his stomach hard while lying under the tree, trying to figure out which is it that caused the stomach ache so brutally. Laying with tucked legs, he tries to use his healing magic to fix this issue. But unfortunately, his own healing magic does not affect the stomach in any way. He believes that he could be poisoned after all. Clenching his eyes shut, he believes there might be a cure to fix this terrible stomach ache. Quickly, the bunny rushes in to comfort the guy when he asks him why he is here again. He then pats his head and tells him that he is glad to see him alive though. Another day begins when the bunny shows him a small lake among the forest trees. Looking at the bunny, he wonders if the water is safe in this, so he asks him. Hence, he does think that this water seems clearer than the river water he drank before, so he sits down to drink it and finds it so delicious that he thanks the bunny on the spot. However, the bunny is not looking at him and shivering with fear. He asks the bunny what is wrong with him. His gaze fell above the tree where the bunny sits. While that is happening, he follows and climbs over the top to look around. Then he asks the bunny if some monster is hiding here. Seeing the bunny shiver so much, especially when he did not even pass any look in front of Grand Grizzlies. Usato worries about what is lurking down there. He then hears leaves rustling down there. All of a sudden, his eyes grow wide when he tries to make out what it is he is looking at. A purple snake is dragging its body throughout in the form of loops. He asks what the hell this thing could be, and he remembers there was nothing he read about it. But still, he believes he is feeling that this thing is dangerous far more than a Grand Grizzly. Moreover, as his red bulgy eyes look for prey, Usato notices that bloodlust oozing out from every inch of their body. He expresses that he does not plan to go anywhere near that. As soon as the snake monster leaves their sight, he catches his dying breath. So today will be the 4th day since he has laid eyes upon the giant snake monster, and he reports that he has not been able to let that uneasy feeling go from his inside, but he did not give up on observing the Grand Grizzly. Hiding in the bushes, he is still keeping a watch over the Grand Grizzly that will guarantee his safety. A blue baby grizzly falls from the white grizzly, making it the most cute thing to watch. He notices that these grizzlies are exactly the same as they were. He states that watching them from this far warms his heart, but he believes that he cannot go back home without cooking some Grand Grizzly roasting party for Captain Rose. Holding his knife, he has made up his mind to chop them off, but he puts it off until another day. The darkness of the Linger Forest has grown darker as the clouds hit the shower button over the area. Meanwhile, Usato asks the bunny if he should not go when the bunny makes a fuss over something. The bunny then tries to pull his feet back from the path Usato is walking on. Seeing the bunny put so much effort into such a tiny body, he honors his hard work and sits down. Furthermore, he mentions that he will stay till the rain stops over this tree and asks the bunny if it is good enough. The bunny then nods. Afterward, as the sky gets cleared up slowly, he is prepared again to battle the grizzlies and finally run off home. Moreover, he has planned to kick their butts and hand them over the stick as a trophy for Rose. Walking to the battlefield, the bunny hops on his shoulder and he realizes that this tiny thing has come again to change his mind. However, he tells him that he cannot stop him today and he has to hunt down the grizzlies to finally get out of the forest. The bunny gets sad and jumps away from the guy, but Usato continues to walk ahead. But as soon as he reaches the ground, he finds grizzlies slit open and butchered over the ground, bleeding to their deaths. Incapable to piece this together, he asks himself what the hell is going on here. Seeing the grizzlies slaughtered like a couple of tiny dogs, he thinks that Rose is going to be furious enough to make him her pet. He expresses that she will kill him when she sees that he has let someone else steal his prey. Noticing the bite marks over their bodies, his instincts remind him about the giant snake monster with red bulgy eyes. He is sure that the monster was not into eating the grizzlies but only liked tearing them apart. Just for the sake of killing, he has massacred a bunch of grizzlies, and this is how frightening that giant monster is. All of a sudden, he gets spooked when he hears a rumble far away from a moving rock. As the rock falls to the ground, Usato's gaze falls on the blue puffball, which seems like jumping down the ground. As the puffball seems to get closer, it becomes clear to see that it is the grizzly's child who is trying to nudge his mother to wake her up. Seeing this tragic incident, he is worried about losing to a giant snake monster in defeating a few grizzlies. But also seeing this terrible sight, he remembers that he hates losing to Rose as well. Not only that, he also spent quite a lot of his days planning a perfect trap to hunt the grizzlies down. But he hates that dumb giant snake monster stole his quarry, and he toured his nerve for nothing for so long. Clenching his knife, he mentions what he hates the most despite everything else, is seeing a child crying over his parents' brutal slaughter. Seeing this brutality, he tells the little grizzly that he will avenge the death of his parents, so just wait for him here. Afterwards, somewhere back home, a guy comes and asks for Usato's whereabouts. He gets to know that he is out for training in the dark forest. Furthermore, he mentions that Usato has been there for the last 10 days. The guy asks the Baldi it is a bit of a long adventure for Usato-ken alone. As confused as they are, he tells them he doesn't know anything except the fact that the boss is the one who decides everything. The Baldi asks the guy for confirmation beside them, who is trying to peel the potatoes, to which he adds that the boss is not present at the moment, and they are not aware of what is going on. The red-haired guy, Kazuki-kun, and the black-haired woman, Suzune, find themselves confused in the middle. In the vastness of the green field, as they both walk down the hill, the Suzune tells Kazuki-kun that he gets awfully stressed when it is about Usato-kun. To which Kazuki stops and turns to face his senpai, telling her that she should be worried about him as well. After carefully thinking about it, Suzune states that she cannot be honest with her opinion on this matter. Furthermore, she mentions that if Rose is making him do this all, then it is going to be fine. Realizing what Suzuna said, he does believe in Rose picking the right decision. Moreover, Suzuna tells him that she has faith in Usato, that he will soon come around, and his comeback will be hale and hearty. Realizing how much Suzuna believes in Usato, Hasuki quickly mentions that he does believe in him too. Afterward, Usato in the forest is munching on the bread so far and peeling the wood as well. He continues to drink water from his bottle. Then he proceeds to do stretches and exercise, preparing himself for a great battle. Putting his small knife beside him, he makes a spear weapon out of wood and asks if the bunny is going to take him to the snake. The bunny is scared to even think about the snake, but Usato demands to show him the way only, and then he can run away fast. So the bunny nods and agrees to show the way. He continues his training on the side of the river and also follows the bunny in finding the giant snake monster. Further ahead, he is shocked to see the giant snake at the same spot he left him. He remembers that he told the cub to stay here, and now he is dangerous due to him. The giant snake is hissing towards this blue puffball. Looking at his eye, he remembers Rose's eye and anger, and he thinks about the order which was given. He has slowly drifted apart from his goal. Even so, he believes that this monster is really dangerous and his eyes are as terrifying as Rose's are. But even then, he believes that there is nothing spookier than Rose herself. Mustering up the courage finally, he jumps to attack that giant snake. When he thinks it is his chance, suddenly the snake comes right in his face as he is about to slash him in half. As the snake tries to bite, he finds an opportunity and strikes the wooden spear in the snake's red, bulgy eyes. The blood splashes outside, and when the snake screams in agony, he throws him on the side by his tail. Trying to heal himself, he asks the snake if this is all he has gotten. Determined to give his finishing blow, he takes out his knife. The giant snake jumps to come closer to attack Usato, but he thinks that it would be perfect if he attacks from where he is blinded, so the right side. Dodging the snake's attack, Usato jumps higher, but suddenly, the snake bites his shoulder as if it is chips for him, with half of his knife stuck in the snake's inside. Furthermore, he notices that he used his own blinding eye spot as bait to lure him out. With his shoulder stuck in the snake's mouth, he remembers that his knife is still half lodged inside, so he pushes it inside even further. As the blood spills over the ground, the snake loses and falls back in shock. But Usato is experiencing dizziness, not understanding what is happening or why everything is going blurry. Realization hits him hard when he figures that this snake is not just a giant but also venomous, but he tells it that he knows how to heal himself. Hence, thanks to that poisonous water, he learned how to heal himself of a stomach ache. He believes that when the poison is wrecking his insides, he only has to heal himself from the insides out. Finally, he lands a smacking punch to his throat, which ruptures the way inside. Not gonna lie, for a healer, he sure has a style and combat skills. Furthermore, he rips the snake into shreds and pieces with the help of the little cub slashing the snake with his nails. After conquering the giant snake, Usato is lying on the ground beside the snake, catching his breath, wondering if Rose will accept this. But right now, he is so glad that he finally took care of something bigger than a plain old grizzly. Then Blue Puff Grizzly runs his cheek against his, to which Usato replies that he has finally taken revenge for this little guy. When brushing his fur, he tells him that he wants to heal his wounds, but his mana has been used to neutralize the venom. Moreover, he is unable to move a single muscle because he is exhausted. All of a sudden, the bleeding giant snake wakes up again and glares with his red, bulgy eyes, sending fear down Usato's spine. He cannot believe what he is seeing, and he cannot move even if he is trying his best to. The cub is trying to help him pull out of this miserable situation, but he shouts at the cub to run away. Seeing the snake about to attack and eat both of them alive, his gaze widens. Thinking about Kazuki, Inukami-senpai, and Rose, this is where it struck him that all of this is Rose's fault for leaving him here with all these monsters. In his final moments, he screams the name of the brutal vixen, Rose, who played him over for the forest training. All of a sudden, when he screams about Rose being an ogre, Rose comes flashing from the sky and brutally smashes the snake to the ground in a few seconds. Looks like this took an unexpected turn, or this guy has some summoning magic as well. Squishing it beneath her boots, she feels disgusted by his existence, and she expresses that he should rot in hell now and die already. Seeing how Rose saved his ass, Usato bows on the floor before her, calling her Captain Rose. Shocked to see her, he asks why she is here, to which she replies that the tiny bunny filled me in and I came as fast as I could. Rose further introduces the bunny as Kukuru, the smug face, who is her pet that she left to watch to guard your safety. This guy's trust is robbed from the bunny world. Now, every time he sees a bunny, he will think of some shady business underneath that smug face. He complains that this bunny came to him injured and all. Rose smirks at his mediocre judgment, calling him a sucker. She further clarifies that it was all an act to make you trust him. Moreover, she describes that she never left this place and she was nearby, ready to wait for the signal when she was needed. But she didn't know that something like this could come. He asks if she knows this monster, to which Rose tells him that it is a creation of the Demon Lord's army. Furthermore, she mentions that Siglus couldn't end this creature during the last invasion because it must have run into the forest. As they look over the snake, she states that she never expected him to kill Grand Grizzlies intently. Hence, she describes that their power is so immense that a full unit of elite troops is needed to hunt one down. Realization hits him hard when he figures out that Rose wanted a novice like him to fight with this giant monster. Furthermore, she explains that she doesn't expect him to win from this, but the goal doesn't change. She says it was to gain the experience of fighting something much stronger than you. She did see when the snake arrived, but she tells him that things got so interesting that she didn't want to intervene and see what would happen. Usodo protests, saying that he could have died by now. Soon, the blue cub starts to defend Usodo against Rose. Not gonna lie, this puffy bear is out here in such a small package, trying to defend a half-assed loser from a giant snake. Talk about the loyalty of the cubs over the vengeance tales. That's new. Rose asks him if he has taken a liking to him, to which he replies that he took revenge for his parents being killed by that snake. He says that he is all alone now. Seeing them get along so well, Rose tells the grizzly that he is coming with them now. She tells him that his job would be to carry this knuckle-headed loser, so the cub then nudges and puts Usodo over his back, ready to be on duty. All of them then proceed to go home as Rose lifts all of them on his bare hand. Looks like this woman could bench press a dragon if she wants. When they are set on their path, Rose asks Usodo what he was calling her before. Root? A violent woman? An ogre? A chill runs down his spine. She tells him that he is not getting any sleep tonight on her watch, and she will make sure of that. She then declares that he has passed with flying, erupting colors this time. Looking over the sunset, she tells him that he is qualified to stand with her on the battlefield. However, she does believe he cannot handle the basics, yet he has got what it takes. The things she finds most outstanding are his ability to withstand physical pain and his physical aptitude with a strong mentality. Further on, she mentions that these abilities aren't found in the other two healers. She tells him to be proud and soon he will be joining in on something that is coming. When he asks what it is, she tells him that the demon army might be attacking soon. Looks like the Illinger Kingdom is about to get lingering by a demon army. Sounds like things are starting to get dicey, or should I say spicy? Afterward, a man calls Amila Vergrit, the commander of the Third Army, to which she responds that she is present. He asks her how the preparation to invade the Illinger Kingdom is taking place. She tells him that it is smoothly proceeding and everything's ready. Therefore, they will soon initiate their advances into the Illinger Kingdom. The day of Usodo hunting down the grizzlies, but accidentally crossing paths with a giant snake monster of Demon Lord's army has come to an end. Captain Rose, who helped him take down that fuzzy old snake, is standing before the sunset. As the wind rustles through her gorgeous green hair, she finally reveals her awaited fear. She declares that the demon army is on their move to attack soon. Shaken to hear this news, Usodo confirms that the war is going to erupt while sitting cross-legs behind her with his new companion, the young grizzly. When to fear when you have a blue puff grizzly to rescue you. A dash full of cuteness-induced enemy distraction is gonna take them all down to the sweet old hell. Furthermore, she states that as per his abilities and today's status report on his resilience, she wants him to be on the front lines. This guy on the front lines? Looks like we're about to have a front row seat to this show. From what I hear, it's gonna be somewhere between sword slashes and crispy popcorn fun. She expresses how he is better at equipping physical pain and a strong mental state better than the other two healers. Therefore, she tells him that he has passed the test to be one of the frontliners to heal the wounded. Turning to see him eye to eye, she conveys that they will be recruited in the vanguard. Confused as to how he managed to hit that high, he asks what is going to happen with Tong and others with him. Taking this into consideration, he expresses that there are other healers in the midst as well. In addition to that, she clarifies that the other two healers are going to have a fitting role just like the right man for the right job. Judging his abilities, he believes that he will not be able to jump to the standard she is putting him on. But Rose assures him that they have a little more time to level up his skills. It's the time for this guy to put his skill to the test. Ready to fight, ready to heal, and ready to win. Let a grizzly grizzle some demon army. Now she commands him to steal himself before it dashes away. Looking over his hand, he asks if he can really do something like this. Afterward, the horror strikes when the dark clouds cover the demon lord's castle. In the castle, the demon army is preparing for the upcoming battle. While that is going on, the demon lord asks for the report on the preparations for invading the Linger Kingdom. He is informed by the short, red-headed commander that it is going as smoothly as it is expected. Furthermore, she informs him that their units are done preparing for the Ellinger battle. She declares that they shall soon leave and initiate their advances toward the Linger Kingdom. This makes the demon lord happy, and he entrusts 3rd Army Commander Emila to lead the troops further on from here. To elaborate further, he expresses that they have managed to slip through their grasp before, despite their past successes. Taking her life into consideration, he states that he wants to see her absolute efforts, although she doesn't need to battle to the grave. Bowing to her demon lord, she promises to do her best. Seeing how she is ready to put her life on the line, he tells her that she is as serious as always. Then he dismisses her, permitting her she can go now. A few moments later, she walks out to the corridors and catches her dying breath while sweating. The presence of the demon lord is enough to take someone's breath and soul away. Someone spots her panting heavily and asks if Commander Emila got so worked up before the demon lord. She turns to see someone coming from the shadows. A man with white hair and glasses appears to be mocking her panting. Glaring at the demon doctor from a distance, she commands him that if he is so free to mock others, he better pay attention to his work. With that, he asks her to forget that weird nickname already and go with his proper name, Hyrule. Ignoring his smug face, she further walks ahead while hearing him rant about his work going quite smoothly. To elaborate further, Hyrule explains that he is just done with the newest prototype of the demon-made monster. Swiftly, he catches up to her to ask her if she wants to take a look at it. Later, he shows her the demon-made monster he came up with, like a humongous giant snake trapped in the ocean blue ball in front of them. So he asks her opinion on this prototype. In this context, he further shares that this guy is highly venomous, including a gigantic body with his sharp, pointy fangs as a plus point. Like a mad scientist, he declares this monster as Demon-Made Monster Prototype 72, Baljanak. Ignoring all the above, she points out that he has given the Prototype 71 the exact same name. Moreover, she recalls that the Prototype 71 went missing in their last attack on the Linger Kingdom. Adding to this, he states that after battling heavy wounds against the warrior named Siglis, he ran away somewhere. But in his defense, the doctor expresses that the number 72 is going to be stronger and better than the 71. While grinding her teeth, she hopes that he is right about this prototype because there are far worse Rusum warriors than Siglis in the Linger Kingdom. Remembering the rumors about them, the doctor points out as she is talking about the kidnappers. Adding to this, she says that there are some who don't fight at all but stand on the battlefield. They keep waiting among them in front to sweep the injured fighters back from underneath their gaze before anyone could realize it. So to put it briefly, the doctor says that they reduced their casualties with this technique. Furthermore, she explains that their boss runs around all over the front lines as a healer, doing his duty on the spot. Not only is she a top-notch healer, but also she battles infuriatingly well like she has a red-eyed demon of her own inside. Moreover, she adds that this woman is after her master while holding a deep grudge against him. Clenching his fist, she swears someday she will defeat that old hag. Adding to that, the doctor reminds her that she is the commander of the troops this time, so she cannot go into the battle herself. To his remark, she turns around to walk away while sharing some of her battle strategies that she has planned to send a demon. Therefore, she tells him that there is an armed knight dressed in black shiny armor whom she has chosen for this particular job. He is up to it because he rides with the intent to kill, and he is known to be the immortal mage of darkness, the Black Knight himself. The knight further on stands in front of the line troops, waiting for the signal to start the battle to the Linger Kingdom. Afterward, somewhere in the Ellinger Kingdom, still, the heavy fog is scattered around everywhere as if the clouds decided to take a walk. With the continued singing of the birds, starting their day in the trees, a house sits nearby where a man declares that the beds are the best over everything. With a bald man lying next to him, Usato hugs his pillow while confronting how he missed hearing Tong snoring. The sun is shining brightly over this land of Linger, and another has just started. The blue grizzly bear sleeping so calmly is disturbed by Usato Ken asking if he is awake now. Recognizing his partner's voice, he moves his ears to express that he is up and ready for the day. Therefore, Usato has brought lots of delicious treats for this grizzly's breakfast. Talk about bed and breakfast, a cute face like him can get all anytime, anywhere. Then he expresses that he has picked some things for him from the cafeteria. Usopp proceeds to give him some kind of fruit, and a young bear smells it to make sure. The grizzly's eyes get sparkly, and he eats it in one go. Seeing how happy the grizzly is, he says that he makes it look a lot more delicious than he thought it would be. Then he grabs one for himself and takes a bite. For his luck, he expresses that it tastes damn better than it looks, but the impatient grizzly knocks off the fruit from his hands and gulps it in. Blushing so cutely, the grizzly chews it all up with contentment. Laughing to see how puffy he has gotten, he sits before him with a smile and calls him a glutton face. Hearing a strange sound behind the grizzly, he notices a white long ear hiding behind him. Soon, the bunny steps away from the grizzly and comes in light before Usopp. He remembers how this tiny bunny acted so hurt and cute in the last adventure with the giant snake, but he was Rose's undercover agent in disguise. While whispering, he calls him a traitor. Further on, he expresses that he has not forgotten how he broke his heart and toyed with its innocence. Not gonna lie, this bunny has wrecked Usopp off from cute bunny encounters. If he is gonna spot one again, he won't stop himself from remembering the treacherous attempt of a secret agent spying on him from the shadows. But this bunny knows how to melt hearts while showing his glimmery eyes with blushed cheeks. All of a sudden, he forgets everything and is charmed by Kukuru's dazzling cuteness. Realizing what Kukuru is doing, he shakes it off and tells the bunny that he cannot make a fool of him ever again, no matter how cute he can be. Confused as to where the sound "coo" is coming from, soon something touches his leg. He looks down to see Kukuru snuggling with his leg, and Usopp fights the urge but fails. Frustrated, he then decides to share some of the food with the bunny as well. Blushing with content, Kukuru then sits beside a grizzly munching on the fruit happily. Seeing how the bunny is munching, the young grizzly asks for Usopp's attention by giving him a paw. He has named his blue grizzly as Blurrin. Usopp tells him that he knows he is cute too, and he asks Blurrin to eat up. Captain Rose enters the scene being confused about the name Blurrin, and Usopp spots her casually while feeding the grizzly. As the bunny hops to her shoulder, she then asks if this is the name he is going to give him. Turning to her, he passionately tells him that he took blue from the color blue and re from grizzly to make Blurrin. He then expresses that it is a pretty good name according to him, while asking Rose if she thinks the same. Hence, he then feeds another fruit while calling Blurrin to open his mouth. As Kukuru licks his hand, the Rose watches Usopp with concern. Furthermore, he tells Blurrin that it hurts when he is trying to bite from his hands, as if it is something to eat too. Ignoring his motherly love for Blurrin, she slides away with whatever look. Moreover, she conveys that she has reported the grizzly bear to His Majesty, and they have been permitted to keep Blurrin as property of the rescue team. Shooting a glare at the bear, she then tells the grizzly that he can stay, but he has to earn his stay and his keep. Sweat washes over the young bear, and he gets scared by Captain Rose while hiding underneath hay. Usopp then asks what Blurrin has to do then. Later on the bright sunny day, Blurrin yawns when Usopp is picking him up in a piggyback formation with iron rods on the front of his chest. He demands why he is carrying him like that when he thinks that running together makes all the sense. Standing beside the field, Rose, the green-headed hottie, commands Usopp to stay in this position and tells him this is going to be the simulation training. Grim appears on his face as he tries to take the grizzly's weight on top of him. Adding to that, she explains to Usopp to think of the Blurrin as someone who is in trouble and he has to rescue him. He looks at the young grizzly on top of him and thinks if he needs to be rescued. Ignoring his chatter, she keeps on saying that Blurrin is someone like a wounded soldier in a different sense. With crossed arms, she tells them to hurry and start running up. All of a sudden, they start running together and realize that he has run before, only now he has more weight to carry this path. Furthermore, he smiles while telling the sleepy Blurrin that if he manages his mana while running, then it will be a breeze to run through this. All of a sudden, Rose spooks the heck out of this guy. She commands him to pick a damn better pace, or the wounded soldier on his back won't even make it. Frustrated with his captain, he thinks that he did not realize how heavy this little guy is while running in the field. Geez. As he is walking down the path to rescue the young grizzly, the Baldy Tongo, trying to mimic One Punch Man, comes out of the bushes flying to smack a punch to Usopp. As Tongo the Baldy scares the heck out of this guy, another guy with blonde hair comes running directly at him. However, Usopp Ken swiftly dodges the attack thinking what is going on, and he shouts at them asking what the hell they are trying to do. With a concerned look over Blurrin, he keeps on running ahead anyway while being chased by these two guys. Moreover, when asking them why they are here, they cross-question Usato about the Master Rose, who must have filled him in. They then inform him that they are part of the stimulating training today, to which Usato expresses that he does not need anyone's help on this battlefield. Furthermore, one of them informs him that there are others hidden in the shadows, waiting to ambush you as well. So they ask him to better focus on them and quit complaining about it. Therefore, Usato then hurries and runs ahead of them. An hour later, he gets shaken to see a man breaking the ground to jump before him and ready to smack Usato with his wooden sword. But he successfully dodges that as well. Later, strange ocean blue balls start falling from the sky. As soon as they hit the ground, the green aura starts evaporating from their liquid and reeks of an awful deadly smell. Irritated as to how far they all can go in this simulation training, he holds his nose tight while lifting Blurrin over his back with the other hand. Meanwhile, a guy is sitting on top of a tree, hiding in its shadow, calling out war of his specially made stinky balls over Usato as he runs away faster than the leopard. He shouts at the guy to stop making such crappy weird things. Then 3 hours later, another guy breaks the ropes that were tightly holding the wooden logs together and sends them off to Usato's pathway. Tired from running for 3 hours straight, he has met with rolling hurdles in his path, and he still can jump with Blurrin on the back, dodging one after another. Then, 4 hours later, he feels kind of slow. All of a sudden, he gets spooked when the bunny Kukuru steps in his way, and he is about to be squished under his foot. Usato, in a hurry, jumps out of the way, accusing that cute spy to be in this with everyone. Further on, when a wooden fan is moving with the wind, Usato has made his way up there with Blurrin still on his back. The guy is on the end with his limits, and he is healing himself while continuing to walk. Suddenly, after running so many hours, he feels something weird and trips over to the ground. Blurrin then snuggles with his face and is worried about him, to which he says thanks to the grizzly while lying in the field, trying to catch his breath. He then expressed that he thought he could manage this training for at least half a day. Soon, Rose steps in, informing them that this is the limit you should notice of your endurance on the battlefield. Moreover, she mentions that humans get fatigued and exhausted while handling emotions like fear, impatience, and nervousness. To elaborate further, she mentions that is why he keeps on running out of energy and strength faster than normal. On the question of what he should do then, she shoves her hand on his face, telling him to shove it in his butt and get used to it while healing his exhaustion. Adding to that, she then asks him to obtain mental fortitude and the ability to be decisive and not halt in the face of fear and trouble. He then holds his head while sitting and thanks her a ton for healing him. In this context, she keeps on adding that once his mana has been restored back to its original state, he is ordered to spend his all afternoon running around the castle town. Startled to hear this, he asks if this applies to having Blurrin again on a piggyback formation. She turns to tell him that it is obvious he must. Later in the castle town, everyone is caught off guard with the person running around with a sleepy grizzly bear on his back. There are continuous whispers of what the heck is going on in the castle town. Seeing a blue grizzly, some of them are scared as to what is happening. Irritated by the commotion, Usato thinks he knew this could happen. He feels that young Blurrin may look cute and docile, but he is still a monster to these people. One of them expresses that now she has taken a good look in size and relief, they spot Usato as part of the rescue team. Realizing this, the people take a sigh of relief. Blurrin's nose-like dog picks off a smell that is enough to break his sleep. He then taps his shoulder to ask Usato to go over to the fruit section. A woman is selling that green fruit that Blurrin likes. Usato apologizes that he doesn't have money to pay for it, but he still asks what these fruits are called, to which that woman replies that these are the kingdom's specialty, Peffles. Upon requesting another question, he asks why everyone is calm when he is carrying a monster on his back. She then reminds him that he is part of a rescue team, looking at his clothes. Furthermore, she tells him that she sees people like him running around the town all the time and hardly anything scares them, thanks to the team. However, he thinks about how scary their faces are. No wonder they have gotten used to seeing monsters now. Then he is about to go ahead when the lady asks him to take one Peffle for a treat. While thanking her for her generosity, as soon as gets it in his hands, Blurrin eats his hands with the Peffle. He then scolds him for having bad manners and sees off the nice old lady. Later, a blonde with kitty ears, Amako asks the granny if that is someone from the rescue team. Watching over the bright sky, Usato tells Blurrin to meet Kazuki and Senpai, since they are near the castle grounds. When they are running towards the castle, a blonde guy spots them running and runs after them while calling out to stop. When Usato is thinking if Blurrin will be allowed inside the castle, a man behind them keeps asking them to stop for a moment. He then tells Blurrin that maybe they will refuse because the king lives in that castle too, but they might reconsider seeing how cute Blurrin is. The blonde guy keeps on calling him when Usato is finding excuses to get Blurrin inside the castle somehow. After some time, the guy trips over and both of them look around to ask if he is okay. Later at the end of the stairs, Usato is healing that guy's injuries and asks how he feels now. Apologizing for the trouble, he then tells him he feels a lot better now. Hence, he asks the guy if he was trying to get to him. To which the blonde guy replies that he was trying to get acquainted with his new junior, and he doesn't usually raise his voice like that. Seeing how confused Usato looks, he figures Rose hasn't told anything yet, so he introduces himself as one of the rescue team's healers, Orga Fleur. He then tells him he knew about the new member, but he could never guess that he was summoned with the heroes, although he mentions that he has been training a lot lately that he forgets who he is from time to time. Laughing awkwardly, he is amazed to hear that Usato can keep up with Rose's training while mentioning that it was hard for him and his sister. Stunned to know that Orga's sister is the other healer, he tells him that she is 5 years younger and they run a clinic in the city too while using their healing magic. Connecting the dots, he asks why he collapsed earlier, to which he replies that he is not good at healing himself as compared to healing others. Furthermore, Usato confides that there are many kinds of healers, and Orga adds that they are part of the rescue team now. He further elaborates that they tend to the wounded under the captain's orders in times of need. Listening to Orga, he recalls Rose telling him that he will tend to the wounded on the front lines as part of the vanguard. He then asks Orga about what he does on the battlefield. Thinking, he mentions Tong and others bring injured to the rear, where he and his sister tend to their injuries like support members trying to reduce the casualties. Moreover, Usato mentions that Rose asked him to join Vanguard, but he asks if he can really handle it. Startled to hear this, Orga tells him that knights and heroes in battle are the ones on the front lines and they are in greatest danger every second. Furthermore, he explains that when they get left behind due to their injuries, they wait for their death because it is harder to reach them. But if only there are healers enough to roam around the battlefield, they can be rescued too. Absolutely, he states that it is a risky and exhausting job for a healer, but Captain must trust him because he has proved in deserving such a position. With that, he takes a leave to attend his clinic, or else his sister will scold him. Usato then goes on to do his training. Plus, before bidding his farewell, he asks Usato to not hate Rose too much because she is just clumsy with people. Usato, cutting him, assures him that he doesn't hate Rose at all, even if he thinks of chopping her off to Blurrin for dinner. Watching Usato run away, Orga signs in relief, thinking that finally Rose found someone. Startled to hear his sister, Yururu scolding the heck out of him through the stairs, she asks if he wants to die on his own. He then expresses he isn't that weak, and also mentions he met Usato just now. He believes that Yururu will like him as much as he does. Afterward, reaching the castle, he asks the guard if he can take Blurrin inside. The guard confirms that he is Sir Usato from the rescue team, and upon confirming, he grants him permission to take a grizzly bear inside the castle. Upon asking, the guard tells him that Captain Rose has vouched for this grizzly, so he has permission to step inside. He then thanks the guard and moves on ahead, thinking how many people trust Rose. He runs beside a training round of soldiers, battling each other to strengthen their stances on the battlefield. As he goes further, he spots Senpai battling with another soldier, and she is quick to spot Usato-kun. She asks what's this fluffy blue thing on his back. He then introduces his blue grizzly cub, called Blurrin, to her. Further mentioning that when he did survival training in the Olinger Forest, there he found this bear. He looks over to see if Inukami Senpai is paying attention to his stories, but she is staring at the fuzzy balls on the ground. Hesitantly, she asks Usato if she can touch this thing. He assures her that Blurrin is super rammed and is friendly. He asks her to touch him. If he bites, he can heal her. Startled to hear, she tells him that sometimes he says scary things. But upon touching and claiming animals love her, Blurrin knocks her hand away. To save her from embarrassment, she says that she is savoring the feeling of its toes. Then he asks her to call his name, so she asks Blurrin to be friends with her, but he bites her hand instead. Smiling awkwardly, he tells her that he must have a tainted soul, but suddenly, Blurrin bites his hands, making it comical. She then asks him of having a tainted soul too. Later, she tells him it's been a long time since she has seen him. Looking over her hand, she mentions that she got overzealous in handling swords during training. He takes her hand and heals it for her, Blushing, Senpai asks if he has come to see her today, to which he replies that he has come to see her and Kazuki as well. Turning away, she believes that his super honesty is his only flaw. Furthermore, she tells him that Kazuki isn't here, but outside the kingdom. Moreover, she mentions that he went to gather experience in battling the monsters with sigils and others. Later, while riding the horses, Kazuki asks Commander Siglis if it is true that the Demon Lord's army is going to attack soon. Nodding, Siglis tells him that he is sure they are ready to present more powerful forces than last time, but he adds that they have him and Dame Suzune. Adding to that, he mentions having a raised morale of troops due to the two new heroes joining their sides this time, so victory sides on them. Further ahead, they battle with the wolves together. Later, Senpai mentions that after Kazuki, it is her turn to gain experience, and Usato sees she is going to have fun. She wishes he was worried about her, but not a half-ass worried. Then he bids farewell to Senpai, holding Blurrin on his back. She then lifts her sword, thinking how frank they have grown together. Later, seeing everyone working so hard, all because the day of the battle with the Demon Lord's army is drawing nearer. Since they're going to the battle, he wants to be there for them, so he will work hard to stand among them. Back home, he recalls he could only admire people who could do things he could never do, but it's not the same anymore. Afterward, at night, he puts Blurrin to sleep and watches Rose standing outside alone. Rose then asks him how his training was, and did he get used to the grizzly's weight. He then tells him that he has been training for a little longer, and has gotten a bit used to it. Usato then asks something she said about yesterday. He then confesses that he barely survives the giant snake, so he mentions that he was honestly scared of Demon Lord's army approaching soon. He didn't want to step foot there until today. He found something stronger that could scare home even more. He says that he cannot kill anyone or fight with them, but he will rescue Kazuki and Inumaki Senpai, or anyone that needs help, because he declares he is part of the rescue team. With that, she smiles and walks to him, while fist bumping his chest. Showing how proud she is, she tells him together they will save lots of people and knock out the would-be martyrs, and bring them to life. Not only that, but they will snatch the wounded from underneath that enemy without them realizing it. She then looks him in the eye and tells him that together they will keep those at death's door alive even if it kills them. That's the job of the rescue team. This is the time Usato Ken felt he was truly a member of the rescue team. Afterward, Rose puts a heady bag on Usato's stomach, telling him to wake up for His Majesty's message over yesterday. She then tells him to head out and join Hero Suzuna's training outside the castle. Later, as they continue their journey, Blurrin throws on a reverse card, and now we get to see Usato carrying this huge beast. Looking at Blurrin blowing a balloon from his nose makes Usato question the reason why he is being forced to join Suzuna's training. Because Commander Siglis and the knights are already accompanying Kazuki. At first, Rose totally ignores him and keeps walking like she is in some sort of aid. But then the girl explains that weirdly, they have received the same request for Hiro Kazuki's training. However, she had to refuse that quest since Usato had just come back from the forest. Well, this low-key triggered His Majesty, who petitioned Rose again last night. Thus, she cannot refuse him a second time. I mean, if I had such a hottie in my kingdom, I would definitely petition against her every day. Furthermore, she tells Usato that he is going to be their healer in case of any unforeseen event. That is why she wants him to take it easy for 3 days and 2 nights. Anyways, the duo finally reach their destination, and there, they bump into Suzune, Haruko, and Korin. Suzune gets excited and surprised to see Usato joining her. She didn't expect that wimp to join up, but what excites her more is the fact that Usato brought Blurrin along with him. She believes that Usato is trying to help her get closer to Blurrin. Soon you guys will be seeing an explicit video, but not on this website for sure. Usato then clarifies that he only brought Blurrin here because he had no choice. Usato is the only one Blurrin actually likes. This somewhat pisses Suzune because she wants to be the loved one around here. Is it me? Or does Rose feel kind of jealous when Usato mentions Blurrin loving him? Anyways, Suzune then introduces the crib consisting of Haruko the knight and Korin the mage. What is up with the priests not opening their eyes? Although Korin respectfully greets the duo and tells them that she is looking forward to working with them. Usato then starts staring at Haruko's NPC default face. He feels like he has met him or seen him somewhere before. Thus, Haruko explains that after many episodes, he finally got the limelight, or else he normally works as a castle gatekeeper. While the small talks are going on, Rose calls the hero Suzune out and tells her that the healing magic Usato uses isn't omnipotent. Because that guy can cure poison and mend injuries, however, it is all over if she dies. That is why she'd highly suggest the gang to not overestimate healing magic and be careful while stepping into the field. Bruh, this girl just said the most obvious thing one could hear, of course. Usato is a healer, not a necromancer or something. Even Suzune takes this warning quite seriously and assures Rose that they will be careful and will avoid any dumb move. Though Rose knows that Suzune has been trained under Siglas, so in most cases, she knows that Suzune will do a great job. But in this mission, Suzune is not alone. That is why she had to warn him. Basically, Rose is pointing her finger at Usato because she has zero faith in that boy. Rose legit gives a cold stare at Usato and tells him that she has nothing to say to him. Looking at Usato being confused, which actually pisses her off more, Rose starts confronting Usato and mocks him for expecting advice from her. Thus, Usato starts sweating and he tells her that it is okay. Besides, he knows that she will just hurl abuse at him. If Rose didn't have that mommy figure, Usato would never tolerate such behavior. Anyways, Rose then walks away and tells the group that they should too start their journey. After staring Rose walking away, Suzune tells Usato that his mentor is quite strong. So this confuses the boy and he asks her what she meant by that. However, Suzune smiles and tells him that it is nothing and they should start moving. Okay, that was the cringiest e-girl thing that she could do, and I don't know why Suzune actually ran after saying that. On the other hand, we see Kazuki practicing with his sword alone in the garden. This dude needs a friend and a wooden sword, seriously. Anyways, Kazuki then gets interrupted by Cilia, who is unreasonably making a crying face as she asks Kazuki what he is doing after literally seeing him what he is actually doing. So Kazuki tells the dumb blondie that he is practicing swings, but Cilia, who is surrounded by her maids, confronts Kazuki. Apparently, Cilia has heard about Kazuki returning from the grueling training yesterday, and she cannot believe that he is back at it so soon. Cilia then moves further closer to Kazuki as she holds his arm and tells him to relax and take it easy. Whoa, this kid ain't 18 for sure, so she needs to step back. Kazuki looks at her and smirks as he tells her that he already had a full night's rest, therefore he is fine. But still, Cilia is concerned about him and asks him if he is not overexerting himself. Something weird happens, because the moment Usato lifts his arm to show her he is fine, Cilia jumps back like someone just raised the speed of her vibrator. This actually confuses the guy as he stares at Cilia falling back. She then wishes Kazuki good luck and runs away while blushing. Now back to Usato, he cannot believe that Kazuki came back that exhausted from the training. However, according to Suzanne, Kazuki was actually happy to get so much combat experience. Taking down lots of monsters on the plain near a forest called the Darkness of Linger gave Kazuki the chills, and that is exactly where Suzune is planning to take the group into. Moreover, Usato gets concerned when he hears the forest's name, because that is a place where Blurren's happy family lives, so he wonders if Blurren will feel nostalgic going back there. Suddenly, Suzune makes a suspicious face and asks Usato if Blurren is going to stay asleep. Because if that is the case, then she wants to at least carry him or pet him. But that doesn't seem like a good idea to Usato, who is being possessive. Not only does that boy refuse Suzanne, but he legit snaps Suzanne's hand when she reaches her hand out to the bear. And just like this, an ultra instinct level fight begins between these two. After swelling Suzune's hands, she finally stops and asks Usato what's the big deal. So the boy says likewise that what is the big deal of patting this blue bear, he doesn't understand what has gotten into her. So Suzune uses her feminine card and tells Usato that this is not so manly, slapping a lady's hand. She believes that Usato must have some sort of hand-slapping fetish. Not gonna lie, that might actually be a thing. The world is a pretty weird place. Usato, on the other hand, totally neglects this accusation and tells her that he has no idea what she is talking about. Well, finally, Blurren wakes up from his nap after his nose bubble pops. Thus, finally, Usato tells the bear to walk on his own legs, though, due to his sleep hangover. Blurren starts walking a zigzag, which creeps Usato out, while Suzanne finds Blurren's unconscious state an opportunity to touch him. Okay, this sounded really weird, but she means it in a good way, I hope. Suzanne sits on the ground and offers Blurren to ride her. I mean, she basically wants the bear to jump on her back so she can carry it. Though Usato isn't so sure about this and even warns her, but it is too late. Lazy Blurren is so numb right now that bro forgets his comfort zone and hangs on her back. Finally, Suzanne's wish comes true and she starts feeling his fluffy hair and warm body. But little does that woman know this bear is actually Hetty. The moment she tries to carry it, Suzanne falls down. Hence, Usato rushes for help and tells Suzanne to stop getting herself hurt before they even start to fight. He then pushes Blurren and tells that Lazius to use his feet. Technically, he humbles her because the very next moment, Suzanne gently apologizes to Usato for worrying him and making him use his healing magic on her already. Can we appreciate the fact that along with healing magic, Usato has a great amount of strength? Man was legit carrying this Phaetas Blurren like it has no weight this whole time. Plus, Usato tells her that it is okay, he doesn't mind using his magic, but he wants Suzanne to be more careful. Suddenly, both Blurren and Corrin sense presence. It appears that Corrin's staff has detected multiple creatures ahead. And not just that, Haruku loudly says that whoever is ahead of them should stop immediately and reveal themselves if they are not monsters. Basically, he detected two people's presence. Well, it's not monsters, but it is worse, humans. Two people then come out of the bushes and reveal their intention of ambushing them after they would surround them. But now that they have been caught, they are left with no option but to fight face to face. Apparently, the group is now surrounded by a bunch of bandits. Why is there always a bald guy in those groups who does the talking? Seeing the Royal Knights and Mage makes them think that they hit some sort of jackpot. Thus, the bandits ask them to drop all of their valuable items if they wish to live. Seriously? Seeing a group of adventurers is a plus point. And as expected, Haruku refuses, which pisses the bandits off. He reminds Haruku that they have outnumbered them and it would be wise of them to just surrender. Usato, on the other hand, is still confused and wonders if those people are bandits. No shit, Sherlock. Can't blame him, the boy expected the bandits to look more dangerous with some cool scars rather than a bald guy and a bunch of rainbow-haired people. Weirdly, Suzanne seems scared as she pinches Usato, but the boy tells her to not worry, even he can handle these small fries on his own. Turns out, instead of being scared, Susan is actually excited. Because this is the first time she has encountered real bandits. For so long, she thought that this concept only existed in stories. In a world full of magic and miracles, she didn't believe in bandits. What the heck? However, Blurren then walks further for a good view, but seeing the blue grizzly bear on their side scares the hell out of those bandits. To handle their reputation, Valdi tells the group to not worry. Besides, it is just a cub that looks unharmed. So there is no need to be afraid of that thing. Thus, the bandits get a hold of themselves and reveal that they will actually capture Blurren and will turn him into a pelt. Well, this triggers Usato, but before he can do anything, Suzanne starts to electrocute the guy who said this. Seeing their mates getting crispy worries the bandits that they might have confronted the wrong group. Meanwhile, Usato starts complimenting Suzanne for having great control over that lightning because she somehow managed not to kill that guy. So Suzanne flexes about her training and tells him that she has gotten much stronger now. This actually flattens Usato, who tells Suzanne to go all out and defeat these bandits on her own. Although he is here, she needs any sort of healing. I don't know why, but Usato even starts blushing. But hey, Baldi ain't gonna stand there and hear their chit-chat. So he commands his men to rush because he believes magic is useless in melee range. Well, guess he was wrong because Suzanne legit stunned the whole group in a single blow. Usato, who is chicken riding Suzanne, calls her attack a human electric eel. So Suzanne tells him to stop with the cringe. Baldi then starts to whine that using magic in a sword fight is not fair. So Haruku swings his sword at him and tells him to surrender if he doesn't wish to join his boys. There, Corrin reveals that she's sensing another reaction nearby, and that thing is coming their way really fast. Turns out, a great number of fall boars start running and jumping around the group. It confuses Haruku because usually their habitats are found deeper in the woods, not at the border. Moreover, these boars are crushing whatever is coming in front of them. As one of the boars is about to hit Usato, whose guard is down, Blurren jumps for the save and knocks that boar out. Whereas Susan is trying to electrocute as many boars as she can. Looks like someone is preparing dinner. Unfortunately, one of the boars manages to get closer to Suzanne as he's about to hit her. So Usato immediately runs in front as a human shield as he hugs Suzanne. And the very next moment we see both of them sent flying by that boar. But in the mid-air, Usato manages to heal the hero so she would receive less fall damage. Let's not underestimate that hit, because Usato and Suzanne legit fell like 1 kilometer away. Worst case is, they fell right onto the edge of the forest and ended up falling down the river as they are now getting swayed with the river. As they are being carried away by the water, Luckily, Usato uses his brain and remembers this place because he was here before when he was being chased by the grizzly bears. But unfortunately, with that memory, he realizes that they are about to fall from a huge waterfall. Hence, he tells Suzanne to take a big breath as they are about to hit a roller coaster ride. After taking a huge fall, of course, Usato takes the whole damage and ends up knocked out. And the very next thing he sees is lying on the bank of the river while Susan is carrying him to somewhere safe. The girl tells him that she's the kind of woman who always repays her debt. But Usato tells her that it is okay now. He feels fine. Besides, this looks quite embarrassing, carrying a guy while being all wet. So Susan immediately pushes him back because she doesn't know that the boy is awake. I mean, he could have stayed that way for a bit longer, but Usato decided to act all macho. Plus, Usato explains that he's the one who pulled Suzanne out of the water, and he didn't get knocked out. Instead, he was just resting a bit. But that is there. Usato sees a cut on Suzanne's face and asks to heal her wound first. After healing her, Suzanne starts apologizing to Usato because of things turning this way. But Usato tells her to not worry, besides he's glad that they fell together. Either this kid is in love with her, or he's very focused on Suzanne's protection. Moreover, Usato explains that this place reminds him of the old days, because this is where his captain tossed him for his training. Plus, he warns Suzanne to be careful because there are tons of monsters stronger than fall boars here. The duo then realizes that they are actually stranded here. They have been separated from their group, and now they are left with no food, not even a day's worth. So Susan highly suggests to Usato that they should leave this forest as soon as possible, if it is as dangerous as he says. But the boy tells her that it is going to be dark soon and the weather doesn't look too good, so it would be wise of them to find a safe place to take shelter and then head back tomorrow morning. Nah, Usato is just trying to get her laid in the wild. Since Susan has no option but to agree with him, she asks Usato how they will find a safe place. Usato then brags about how he slept in the trees last time, but he's not so sure if Suzanne can actually do that, probably because she had a luxurious life of cozy beds, and it turns out to be true. Susan explains that she has never climbed a tree before, though it is on her to-do list, but she was never allowed. Seeing her sad face over this thing confirms Usato that she really is a sheltered daughter of some rich family. Well, because of that, Usato points out a small cave and tells her that they can take shelter there. Besides, it is perfect because they won't have to worry about rain there. Things start to get interesting as Usato tells Suzanne to go into the bushes and change her clothes. She blushes and asks Usato to not peek. Anyways, later, to prepare their dinner, Suzanne puts her hand in the river and uses her shock magic. Thus, a great amount of dead fish starts to float. This impresses Usato, who was concerned about the dinner. Don't know how the chemistry works here, but usually while putting her hand on the water, Susan should have also gotten electrocuted. Okay, we get it, you had daddy issues. Usato low-key understands her point of view and tells her that it is not wrong to feel that way. This surprises Suzanne because usually people would get disgusted after seeing her having such a selfish mindset. And for a moment, she feels like Usato is being completely disillusioned with her, and fair enough, she won't blame him for that. But Usato tells her that he actually means it. Even though he always felt the same way, he wanted to change his mundane everyday life and his mundane self. So one way or another, he feels like he sounds the same as Suzanne's perception. In case you don't know, mundane is like an NPC. Usato then starts to open up about the time when they first arrived here. He was always worried about not getting in her and Kazuki's way. But look at him now, he is a part of the rescue team, and who thought that this healer boy would become this useful. Usato further explains that he has steeled his resolve to protect Suzanne, Kazuki, and the people of this kingdom. Even Suzanne agrees with the protecting part since she is a hero after all. And so, Usato offers Suzanne to join up as they both will save the people of the Linger Kingdom together. Even though this has nothing to do with their old world, they will protect the place they have made for themselves here. Suzanne is actually surprised to see how Usato has gotten to be so dependable. Whereas Usato says that Susan has become more human now. Back in the days, she was like some untouchable flower. Hearing that surprises her because she always noticed Usato being so cold towards her. Yup, they keep on talking about how they have evolved for a couple of minutes, and now they feel nostalgic to be back. Susan also likes how they have gotten into a closer relationship. Hearing this, Usato starts to turn red, and before his intrusive thoughts start to kick in the rainy weather, the boy tells himself not today and heads off to sleep as he says his goodnight. Susan gets the hint of his Eiffel Tower rising. She even starts teasing Usato for getting shy. But the boy totally ignores her and keeps pretending to be asleep as his snores get louder. Susan then expresses that she is glad to have this talk with him. The girl was really looking forward to it. Is it safe to say that these two don't regret getting separated from the group and ending up stranded? It then cuts to the morning where the duo continue their journey to head outside the forest. And not gonna lie, Usato has no idea about the exit. He is just following his guts.